Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Are you deaf?
Now I am.
The crossover is powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
All right. What's up, champ?
Hey, hold on. Have you seen this?
Yeah, let me see. Oh, goodies. Who filled that out?
So the writing here.
Who filled that out? Show the camera.
We dented it. Oh,
Well,
no.
we're not. I don't think we're ready for that.
Yeah, you're up.
Show the camera up there.
Okay.
There you go.
So I stole this from the hotel we were staying in.
He said he stole that from the hotel that he was staying in.
Theft. This is evidence of theft.
It's the Summit League bracket that says.
How'd they let that get out?
So when you got to the
it's Gary
semi,
Sharp.
when
He
you
just takes things.
when you got to the semifinal, it says Omaha ! Exclamation point!
Okay,
Exclamation point!
I'm the one that wrote in champion.
But
The
that
rest
one
is-
lacks an exclamation
The
point.
rest is by the hotel. Josh, what do you mean? How'd I get that out of there?
Yeah.
We stole everything
Absolutely.
that was Summit
If it
League
wasn't
related
bolted
from
down.
the hotel and the arena
You
after
have
the
to.
game.
You have to.
Like
Yeah, you have to.
every player was walking out either with a trophy, an all tournament award, or like something off the wall. Like they do give you like the ticket. The ticket when you punch your ticket,
Yeah.
they give you the thing. And so
Did they
one of our
put-
guys was walking
Did
around.
they put any logos? Sometimes they have like the sticker logos that they dress up the locker rooms with.
Yep.
You take
So
all
guys
that
were
junk.
ripping those off the wall because they
Absolutely.
were just going to throw them away. And then Summit League does a really cool display with the bracket where you slap your name on there, and then they fix it after the cameras are gone.
Oh, okay.
Because our guys
That's a
can't
drop.
put a. I think our team would be bad at jigsaw puzzles.
I've
But
seen
they're
the
good at
College
basketball.
World Series. Yeah.
So then they fix it for you, and then they give you that bracket. So,
That's fantastic.
but like we had guys were taking food and like I'm surprised we did not take a cooler.
Absolutely.
Like just when people when it
you
was time to
take
go,
everything.
yeah, everybody was grabbing something.
Well, after they tried to stifle your celebration, I would counter with, okay, we're going to take everything.
Okay,
The
so
Summit
that's-
League has some dispute of this.
We would like to not go
Okay,
viral, please. We would like to
so
not be covered by national media.
Here's what I think happened. That was from the arena, not the league, because we did break the trash can celebrations on Thursday and Saturday. They broke the trash can that belonged to the arena.
Oh, no. Where will you get a
I know.
$30 trash can?
$30.
That's actually quite a bit.
So because the Summit League
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
presented
I mean,
the
mine
trophy to
costs $15.
Omaha on the stage in a trash can.
Yeah, I saw
They had
that.
a trash can that was
Incredible.
labeled,
Pretty
and then
great.
they pulled the trophy out. So I think it was the arena, and CBS Sports got a hold of it, and so they said, and then Barstool went after the Summit League, I guess.
Yeah. And then the Summit League was like, hey, listen, Barstool, okay?
Omaha does not travel with their own trash can.
Why
Now-
would you?
Now,
That would be absurd.
Why wouldn't you?
Targets exist.
because then you'd be touching the money. You think, hey, we're going on the road, we're going to celebrate. We're taking a trash can with us. We already, when we played at South Dakota, they removed the trash cans.
And you have to beat up the trash can beyond recognition.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
So
the part.
it will be destroyed.
But they could not secure something for Sunday night that would have been unbelievable.
So will this be?
So we're saving it for the 15 verse 2 episode.
I'm curious to see,
Or Sunday at the selection show.
like, you know how March Madness they send a couple crews out to various places to kind of go
Yeah.
inside the teams. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if Omaha will be one of those teams.
So yes,
yeah,
It's gotta
but
be,
here's
right?
the problem. And it's not a problem, it's a good problem to have. Omaha hockey could be playing Sunday night at Baxter.
Yeah,
because they're
there's
in a
a-
series against
there's a
North Dakota.
story.
So you would not be able to have the selection show in your arena.
Yeah.
So they have looked at other places.
We're
So
going to the Sap Field House. We're going back.
nobody wants to go to the Sap
We're
Field
going
House.
back to
Hey,
the Sap.
Hey,
Remember the holiday tournament?
Sap Field House is on its last days.
Oh yeah, it's tough
That's
times.
just me speaking.
It's tough times
Um,
in there.
So I think maybe Mammal Hall. where
Okay,
They have a large area
Okay.
that you can get cameras in there, but CBS wants to be in Omaha.
yeah, that's awesome. That's so good.
Wouldn't it be great, like, if there was the potential of
What if they
like
did a
Omaha and Creighton were going to play each other, and
What-
they did
a joint selection show?
maybe they have two cameras, separate locations. The reaction.
That'd be like
So
be like your 12-year-old brother. Be like, well, your birthdays are 3 days apart. So just to make it simple,
I mean,
we're going to put it together.
Creighton's going to do.
You'll have your friends. He'll have his. It'll be fine.
Creighton's going to do their thing that they normally
they always
do.
do at Sokol, and that's a great setup for that
They
show.
have a perfect setup for it. So when Omaha gets their name comes across, there's going to be a nice pop in there.
Where's Lincoln having their
We're all
show?
in this together.
How about when both show up and we're both going to Wichita?
Hello.
Yeah.
Maybe you could charter a bus together.
That's what Lenardi's got this morning.
Has he still got Omaha's a 16?
Yeah.
Playing Houston and Wichita?
Yeah.
And Creighton, Mississippi State are 8-9?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the wrong combination there. All right.
What? No. Why is that bad? Like, because all this, maybe one plays on one day, one plays on the other day.
No,
No,
Omaha,
they all play on the
as
same
a
day.
15
Yeah.
play Michigan State in Cleveland, 2:15, and then you have a 7:10 Creighton, whoever.
Like,
But if they go to Wichita and they're in the same little thing,
you
they'll be
wear a
playing
black
back
shirt
to back.
underneath your blue shirt, or you wear a blue shirt underneath your black
I
shirt.
think there would be more rooting than there was when Creighton and Nebraska are both in San Antonio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would not be adversarial in the least bit.
No.
There would that would be a tough ticket because you know that Creighton fans, no matter what, are going to travel,
And Houston.
and it would be Omaha close enough.
Yeah.
You root for your team. We'll root. If that were to happen too, like you have to understand, Omaha becomes like a national, like not just like where they are an SVP now at the nighttime. Like they'd become a national story if they were to 15-2 upset with the trash can celebration.
all
Like,
the
it
more reason
would-
to put the
it
CBS
would
crew with them.
be a massive game to where it's like you root for your team, we'll root for our team. Good luck. Let's have fun. It wouldn't be
All of a sudden, Gary's doing his morning show, and we're plugged into CBS Sports on Thursday. You never know.
That'd be
I
nice.
don't think Gary's doing his show probably that day. Matt, you got plans for next Thursday?
I've got plans on plans on plans.
All right.
I would like to play on Friday.
That one's all you. Okay, Friday.
Now that Omaha's played themselves out of Dayton.
You watch a whole day of NCAA tournament games, you kind of get used to the vibes and the feeling, and you're like, all right, this is what we got. And then you take it to them.
I will tell you, it makes our director of basketball operations very happy that we've played our way out of Dayton.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, that would be a
bet.
hellhole.
That
Because
is-
you would hear. So
Got to get in
Th-
quick, got to get out
Yes.
quick.
this is what I've been told is they do let a couple of people know if you're going to Dayton.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to start, especially if you're playing on Tuesday, because you're out first thing
sure.
Monday morning.
Sure. Okay.
But it becomes just like a frantic to get everything in place to get out of town, because then you got to start scouting and all that stuff.
So who are the sorry, keep going.
No, it's just a logistically. This is where like the director of basketball operations and other administrators come in handy,
Yeah.
and they already have meetings like Omaha.
There's so many
the team got
logistics to
back at
this.
noon yesterday. There was an NCAA meeting at 1:00 with people on campus.
It's go time. So we're watching Bid Stealers this week, and in this case, we are rooting for Bid Stealers.
Yeah.
We want as many Bid Stealers we could possibly
Very
get.
rare scenario.
That way, we can get Omaha further and further up the line as the regular season and
I don't know that
postseason
there's
Summit
enough
League
bad
champs.
teams that they could go to a 14.
There's two that are sitting out there. Well, I'd have to check the
Because there aren't a
brackets.
lot of like
me
bid
check.
stealers if you're in bigger conferences.
Correct. It would be from the smaller conferences. The one that I was keeping an eye on is the West Coast Conference. But the Big West Conference. That's UC San Diego.
Yeah, which is in play.
They're an at-large team.
Yeah.
I think. And if it's UC Irvine and they beat them in the final, which I don't know how it's looking over in that conference tournament
They
at the
don't
moment.
play today. I can't find it.
That's a
currently.
tournament that I think usually ends on a Saturday night late.
Does that start? That hasn't already started. The Big West Conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
West Coast
First
Conference
round's tomorrow.
ends tonight.
First round. Gotcha.
Big West first round is tomorrow.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
so
don't
if
think
UC
there's
San Diego
any-
doesn't win, there's a bid stealer there. But UC Irvine's got pretty good metrics too. So if they win, they're probably in the same region.
Like Drake winning
Drake winning
is
yeah,
okay
takes-
because there's just
yeah,
one for the Movo.
right.
Pepperdine.
But you want bid stealers.
Pepperdine
like,
would have been nice yesterday.
Omaha
if they
wants
were to
bid
beat St.
stealers.
Mary's. That would've
There
been
are a
ideal.
couple of like mid-major tournaments where there's like some bad teams that are in the final. Maybe that could push. I just don't know that there's enough to push them to 14.
Right.
And also too, like are there enough mid-majors anyway to warrant an at-large bid? Like, I just feel like we're not.
Well,
really
there's
at
only
that
a couple.
point.
It's
Yeah.
it's UC San Diego and who was
I mean, maybe you're hoping that someone from the Big 12 or the ACC shocks the world, because that could.
the WCC is all good now because
Yeah.
Gonzaga and St.
Mary's
Mary's are going to be in that conference title game tonight. And yeah, so the Big West, UC San Diego, and then I don't know.
Oh, wouldn't
Mountain
There's
West-
there's no mid-major conferences that are really in play to have an
A10?
at-large.
Maybe the A10 with VCU. If VCU doesn't win the A10, I mean, they're a potential at-large bid.
Need to bring somebody all the way up.
Same thing with George. Like, I don't know if the A10 is going to get 2 at-large bids. So I don't know. Maybe if George Mason beats VCU in the A10, VCU still gets in. That could be a bid skip, but I don't know if that'll push.
Maybe
them
if
up.
somebody goes on
It's
a
not
run
gonna push
in
them
the
up.
Big East, maybe if Villanova goes on a run or something like that.
Wouldn't that make sense with Neptune?
Uh-huh.
You're like ready to move on.
Yeah, it's like
all of a sudden,
yeah.
they pull a Patrick Ewing
Yeah. I
was about to
during the
say.
COVID year of Georgetown.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, Georgetown
It's
is
like
back.
they won like 14 games this year, but
Hey, look out for Holtman.
watch out for DePaul, he says.
Hey, they've won 2 games at the end of the year.
They have to be Georgetown, Creighton, UConn, and St. John's.
They've leapfrogged.
You know what? If they
leapfrogged.
now, if they do
Seahawks.
that, I think they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that'd be a heck of a gauntlet.
The bubble is so weak. They can just win 2 of those games. They might deserve to be in.
Watch out for Seton Hall, too. People were talking about it.
A lot of people are talking about the Pirates.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm so glad that they won that game. That was awesome. The Mavs. Talking about the Mavs.
I thought you were about to
St.
say,
John's.
I'm so
Hey,
glad they
not
lost that
DePaul.
game.
So that would have saved you from your
Weasel wins.
technicality
Yeah.
rant yesterday.
Weasel wins. People, what's the guy's name? Bullet Point Bob. He's always emailing me about Creighton's Weasel wins in the NCAA tournament. You don't want to weasel away your win into the NCAA tournament.
Hey, there was it was not said publicly Sunday night before the game, but it was kind of like intimated. Omaha, please win, because it's not a Summit League rule. It's the archaic NCAA rule that you have to sit out 5. Now it's down to 4.
I just don't want to have that conversation.
No,
Exactly.
because
it's just not. Yeah,
I had a conversation with myself. I'm like, I'm going to get screwed out of a call. Like, what if they lose?
Yeah.
I'm never going to get that call, but they'll be in the NCAA tournament. I'll have to
Right.
go in a studio and make something up.
Yeah, they would have still put the call out there, and it would have been like, and St. Thomas wins, but don't worry, we're still dancing. It was like, it doesn't quite hit as much. A good one from YouTube. This is absolutely a bid stealer. Delaware is the 12 seed in the Colonial. They play in the final tonight against UNC Wilmington.
Okay.
But the CAA doesn't get
I was about
like
to say,
UNC.
are they
Wil-
going to get more than
UNC
But-
Wilmington is not an
But that would
at-large.
push. That would be a 16, and so
That-
start
yeah.
pushing people
Gotcha.
to the next line.
Yeah, you can get upsets in those mid majors where those mid majors were typically 13-14 if a bad team wins.
Now,
I
I would really be shocked if they went to a 14.
I don't think.
I think they've, even though there are a lot of us that are like, hey, let's go to Dayton where you could
win a game. Yeah.
They're a 15 because the Summit League RPI has actually gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll be a 15 playing a 2.
They're right now on the
It's
bracket.
happened before.
The bracket matrix hasn't been updated today yet with all the other brackets that have come in, but Omaha's the top 16 at the moment. According
Shelby's
to
got them at 15. So we'll see what happens.
So it looks, if you're the top 16,
the
you're playing the
Florida or
second
Alabama
number 1
Yeah.
team.
or the last number 1 team, theoretically.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work that way, but yeah, you don't want Houston. You do not want Houston. Do not play Houston.
No.
I don't. You don't want any of the 1 seeds.
I don't. No, I would rather. There are some 1 seeds that I'd rather have instead of Houston.
Houston would be,
I
when
wouldn't
you're not
think.
familiar with them, a absolutely nightmare to play
sure.
against.
Yeah.
I think that they like the only 2 seed where, and I think this isn't just an Omaha thing. This is just any team that plays them. I think just Bama with their style of offense and just how quick they are is a real tough matchup for any mid-major.
You got to make shots, though. You got to make shots.
Then that's the key to Alabama. Like, if Alabama gets hot, like they're going to win the national championship.
But this conversation is real, though, because Omaha's playing well and they're a good team. And if they hit shots, but if they defend, but they're not going to sneak up on anybody because I think if you're in that role and you've seen them play and you turn on the film, you're like, this is a good team.
Yeah,
this isn't like a Cinderella.
This is mildly dangerous here.
This is a team that we're going to make sure our guys
know.
know.
I mean, the game time, the network, it's all fascinating to me. Like it's UNO on the biggest stage of college basketball. Like, what time are you going to end up with? You know?
Did you say UNO?
I'm sorry. The Omaha.
Omaha. Just Omaha.
Or Neboma.
I was kidding, but
Neb-Omaha.
So one quick thing on that.
Nebom.
When I moved back to Nebraska into Omaha,
that's what this got. Nebom.
I almost did a spit take there.
There's a lot of you'll see score bugs for Olympic sports, and it'll have NOM.
Yeah.
NOM. But I think if you grew up here, it'll always be UNO, even though they've
locally
worked hard for
it's
a decade
still
to
UNO.
brand it Omaha. But since I've been involved, it's always been Omaha. I've never referred to them on air during a game as UNO.
Because that's when, they made that transition, right about
But
I
think if you grew up here, it's always going to be UNO.
You
will say Omaha, but it's always going to be UNO.
And from what I read when Chattel had the thing with Adrian, what was it, yesterday or today? He's okay. They're okay with that locally, right? Like it's UNO, and they understand that. But nationally, it's cool to say Omaha. Yeah, it's Omaha.
Like everywhere we go on the scoreboard, it says Omaha.
That's good.
You're introduced as Omaha,
and hopefully on the score bug in the NCAA tournament, it'll be Omaha.
It won't be Nam,
not Nebom.
Yeah, they're not the only ones. Like in major cities. Like Kansas City doesn't like being referred to as UMKC.
Right.
They want to be called Kansas City. And that's how they brand. Their branding is Kansas City's college team.
Sure.
And I'm like, well,
there's some others.
I mean, you got
to Chicago's
Rockhurst.
Yeah, the Rockhurst. Rockhurst. They should put up a billboard. Kansas City's team. Kansas City's college team.
I'm going to pick. So I would do my bracket, and it might be a little weird, but I fill out 5 different brackets. I'm in 4 or 5 different pools, but I got the same bracket.
Okay,
that's
for
good.
Every single one of them. I'm a
too much to be tracking if you're changing
exactly, and it doesn't become fun anymore. You're like, well, this bracket. You're just guessing. You're just shooting in the dark. Like, let's make it about skill, right? That's for me. In my only bracket, if Omaha gets matched up with Michigan or Michigan State, I'm going to pick them. I'm going to pick them.
Mavs.
Go Mavs.
Michigan
Gary's
State.
looking at me like, don't touch the money. Shut up.
Izzo, who cares?
Who cares?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since, 2000?
Mateen Cleaves.
It's been a while.
Yeah, they're going down.
Have you heard this statistic?
Round number 1.
I've watched a 15/2 in person before.
That's right.
So have I.
Most of us have.
Yeah.
Shout out to them boys from
You were at
Norfolk
Lehigh, Kansas
State.
Oh.
No, the old Kyle O'Quinn against Mizzou.
I was sitting right there
here in Omaha.
I was sitting there right there as I watched the demise of Georgetown basketball.
Oh, Dunk City.
And another oop to Chase Fielder. And,
oh, my God. And they keep dunking.
And by the way, Creighton.
Somebody stop them.
And ironically, who else was in that building for that pod in Philadelphia?
That would have been that would have been the Creighton and the Creighton Duke year. Yeah. That one. Yeah. So that was the year Creighton played Cincinnati.
Yes.
I think in the first round. Yeah. I mean, that was
then
harder
FGCU
and win too.
Played San Diego State on that Sunday.
Wow.
And then went to the Sweet 16 at Jerry's World and saw a good Florida team.
Yeah.
And
but they were dunking that first weekend. They were dunking all over the place.
Yeah. So if they go to Wichita, Creighton and my team is in the same building again.
Could be fun. Could be fun.
Wichita or Milwaukee. Please.
Get them all together.
But the Summit League the other night, it was not said, but it was almost intimated. Please, Omaha, win, because it would be awkward.
It would be.
and I'm glad they won.
It already was.
What?
It already was.
Well, yeah, it was because like a lot of the stuff that was out there Saturday night was, well, Omaha's in because this is a stupid rule,
and they kept they mentioned it every 10 seconds on the broadcast.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they were
If
like,
they weren't talking about gambling, they were already they were talking
What?
about.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of gambling talk.
on that broadcast.
Uh-huh.
Really?
a lot of Big Cat.
Big Cat 16-0. Congratulations. 147 points in this game right now. Significant to something.
On the CBS broadcast.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah. They were like doing. I'm pretty sure they were doing cuts for SVP's bad beats. Like like for. I think they might have gotten a. Hey, we need new sounders for when we introduce this thing. Can you go ahead and do it?
Like Musburger was always like kind of cute around it. They were just like, yeah, gambling exists.
They're like, people are losing money on this game.
Well, okay, so Tim, who was one of the
won money on
analysts,
that game.
I think he does a gambling podcast
Oh.
out of Chicago.
That would track.
Well,
I
okay,
should join
so
it.
there was the motivation not to have an asterisk or a technicality, but also when the opening line came out for the Omaha St. Thomas game, I mean, Omaha was an underdog. It went up to 5.5.
Yeah.
There are people that were like, "Oh, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I see that."
Interesting.
That's wild that they spent a lot of time on gambling.
They had a lot of thoughts. They had a lot.
They did.
I haven't watched it yet. Will I be
It's on Twitter.
agitated or
No, not agitated.
no.
It was very like, the problem was it wasn't tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like you can have tongue in cheek gambling comments because look, let's not be naive. All right?
Mhm.
People are gambling on the game. All right. There's money on every single game. People care about that stuff, right? So you can't act as if it doesn't exist. But they were like talking as if like, if you're not gambling on this game, then what the hell are you doing? Like it was like, it was almost as if you were like locked into a Barstool like gambling live cast at some points where it was like, oh no, it's a prerequisite that you probably have money on this game.
Bernie says he thinks they were live betting the game.
Okay, that's an accusation.
It is an accusation.
We are not saying that.
But after how
We're
much
not
they were
saying
talking
that.
about it, there very well could have been skin.
I don't think so. I don't.
The CBS, I've never noticed that on other CBS network games that they push the gambling aspect.
I think it was just
the two guys
I think
that
it was
were-
situational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they were getting like a code green being like, hey, we need to talk about like the over under here. I think that they were just, entertained by it. And like, so Big Cat has been on this like he just ended at 16-0, but like he's been on this very nationally popular, if you're on Twitter, streak where he's just been on a heater and he's been winning and winning and winning. And so that's picked up steam. And then it was made aware that he had been on the game. And so then it, that's why it was like,
Wow.
tied in. That's why it was prominent for them, kind of.
It was interesting.
Huh.
It was interesting.
I've never heard like Steve Lapis just all of a sudden give off the impression he's live betting on the Creighton Providence game in Rhode Island and he does every year.
What game was I watching last night where Lapis was doing it? It must have been, as I was watching the CAA semifinal with UNC Wilmington and Charleston, and I was also watching.
Sicko.
Yeah, and the Horizon League semifinal was very good last
Youngstown
night.
State, hello.
Yeah, Youngstown beating Cleveland State. Cleveland State with a bad turnover at the end.
Oakland will not make it back to the NCAA tournament. They got beaten in the earlier game.
Yeah,
Jack Golke,
Yeah, poor Golke.
no longer on that.
Hey,
No.
mid-major tournaments need to be over today because then the big boys come and you get lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
Because you get so much,
Yes.
you have so much chaos in the mid-major of these new teams that nobody knows who they are, and it's the first time watching them. And usually they deliver.
It's amazing how many of them stretch into the weekend when you got the Big East final is on Saturday and all the the big conferences are on Sunday. Like there's still a lot of conference championship games that are still on Saturday and Sunday. This week.
It would be a very good marketing strategy to allow these guys to play out their tournaments so you're not distracted by the fact of like you said, the big boys. Like there are people who like this is a good weekend where people would watch those games, right? But then there are other people who would rather watch the first round of the Big 12 as opposed to the semifinal of
Right.
the WAC or
okay,
whatever.
so Saturday is the Big 12 final and the Big 10 final.
Yeah.
Also, you
What's on
have
Saturday?
you have the Ivy League semifinal, which is still going on Saturday. The America East final, the MEAC final, is set. Like nobody's watching these.
No, but
No.
you would watch them if they
If they were
played
on
over the
Tuesday,
weekend,
yeah.
or if they were yesterday. Like yesterday, we had 2 semifinals.
The MAC final is Saturday. The MAC final is on Saturday. the MAC and the MAC
And don't they get
and the
like,
KUSA.
Don't they get like the 10 a.m. slot on ESPN or the 11 a.m. slot?
They get the ESPN 2,
The-
10:30
yeah.
p.m. slot.
The MAC final is 6:30 Saturday night, which I believe is the same time as the Big East final.
Yes.
But Big Ten final on a Saturday hasn't it been on a Sunday?
No, Big Ten finals on Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause then it goes right into the selection show.
Yeah.
Big Ten final.
It's always
is the
been
last
weird
one.
to me how
Yep.
like these guys are sweaty and like just so tired, and then like they have to put a camera on them, and they're literally just like sitting in the concourse, like watching their fate get decided.
So Sunday the Ivy League final, which the Ivy League tournament is new, is at 11. The SEC A10 are at the same time at noon. Then the AAC final is at 2, and then the Big Ten final is at 2:30
Okay.
on Sunday, and that's the last thing before selection time.
And then you're like, oh, because we're playing on Sunday, well, we won't be playing on Thursday. And then you find out you're playing on Thursday and you still got to go home. That's why the Big East, that's a smart play.
Get an
Especially
extra
if you're a
day.
team like where Creighton's located in the Midwest. You got to fly back home right after the game. And what if you get shipped out on Thursday?
Yeah, that's why Creighton always doesn't win the final. They're like, we'll take the extra days off. Thank you very much.
I just saw this
That'd be a good question for Mac. Is that why you're 0-4?
He has interesting thoughts on the Big East.
I heard him
tournament.
yesterday.
Yeah,
I think he's playing coy.
he always does that though. I don't think he cares that much. And that seems strong, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm probably coming off as very Homer right now, but you know,
I think he has the right mindset of the following week is more important.
absolutely.
And he went with, we're not from the East Coast, so it doesn't.
Mhm.
But I think if you win on a Friday night, you're like, okay, let's just win the whole damn thing.
Right. So
Got to play in the game anyway.
So I'm going, and like the best case scenario if Creighton doesn't make the final is if they make the semifinal, lose to UConn, and then we get a St. John's UConn final on Saturday night at the Garden. I am not coming home for that. I am staying. I am at that game. All up in that game. I'm in that game.
I love how you just turned into the
watch
NBA Jam announcer.
All of
Watch the officiating then on Friday night to make sure that happens.
it. Yeah.
I know you guys will talk about this, and we'll get out of here after this. Would you like to guess the weight of Dylan Raiola?
Oh, no.
I have to recuse myself
seen
because
it.
I've
I haven't-
seen the quote.
So Matt Rule
My
just
God.
commented on his quarterback.
Wait, in a bad way? Why?
Okay, so
It
This
is
is- I will let
the
you fill
only
it
thing
in.
we are going to talk about today.
What? Oh, is he like 230?
Raiola said, this is Mitch Sherman. Sorry, Jacob. Rule says that Raiola is working on his body composition in addition to addressing all areas of that a quarterback aims to improve from year 1 to year 2 in college. He won't be a great quarterback at blank pounds.
245 pounds.
He can't be that heavy, is he?
You're at 245.
Is
Do
it
I hear
higher?
it? Do I hear a 240, 235, 250?
250? Is it?
What do I hear? What do I hear?
I said 230, but it's
230.
obviously
You got
wrong.
245. Josh and I have already seen it.
He's big.
He won't be a great quarterback at 240 pounds.
Oh, no. Is that is
It's-
he saying that's what he is?
That's what Rule is saying.
If
he
you've
is.
been
That's too much.
If you've been on the TikToks and you've been watching him walk around, he's tall too. He's a taller dude. Like
What, Josh? Don't.
he's a taller guy. Let me just say this right now though. Like Dylan Raiola, with how tall he is and how wide he is, and like his just frame in general, isn't going to be a 190 pound, 200 pound
no.
quarterback. Like he's always going to be a little bit on the heavier side. in
I'd like
terms
him to
of
be
QBs.
215, 220.
Yeah, 220.
This is how I like my quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If only there was a place where you could go and like work out.
If only like
Yeah, it's called
Nebraska
Millard
would
West
invest-
High School. Okay.
No, he's a scut.
Sorry, Scott, Gretna East, whatever.
Whatever, any of the high schools. Hey, maybe before you do a TikTok dance on the basketball court, maybe you hit the gym.
Oh,
You know-
you knew this was coming. But this is the second straight
Oh no.
local media availability that Raiola or at Rule has addressed his weight.
Here's another thing
That's
too.
not
It's
That's
like,
not
it-
accidental.
That's not good.
If only they had a facility where you could, where they invested a lot of money into it, and it can really give you every single possible tool.
Interesting.
Get
Should,
better.
you guys ever heard of mental reps?
He's taking a lot of them. Clearly,
He's got mental reps.
he's taking a lot of. Nah, I'm not gonna say that.
What if we get an NIL deal with Ozempic?
Now there's
Now I think the coaching staff would like that as well.
I don't want him to be skinny just for the sake of being skinny,
You don't want to. Hey, look, if you go to Ohio State, I'm sure Patricia can give you some of his stash.
Rule mentioned the exact number.
240. What is it? 245 or 250?
240.
240.
I guess I wouldn't be able to go, he looks like he's 240.
Who tweeted
I think
this?
he just has a very awkward
Mitch Sherman.
body.
Sam McEwen as well.
All right, let's go.
Thank God.
Was there
we're
a
off the air.
follow-up?
He won't be a great.
Hey, now you know what
quarterback.
the Take 5 podcast will be on. Renaming it Take 6.
Working on his body composition. Oh no.
Yeah. I can just see you freaking out in your eyes knowing what you're about to spend 4.5 hours
And
on.
as we all know, we will all handle this information
very
appropriately,
yeah.
Definitely.
very level-headed,
Mhm.
no overreaction.
No.
There's a lot of time until Cincinnati.
We definitely won't start to question his character and what he's been doing off the field, right? We'll all keep it civil.
Hey, the guy, his barber, Mike, in Lincoln, does a hell of a job with the fade.
Dude,
was on
Mike was my
TikTok.
barber.
That guy?
Yeah,
That guy does incredible work.
it was one of the Mike and
He
I.
does.
Mike, so
You
Mike,
talk about him like he's an artist.
so Mike. Well,
I
he is.
started going, so I saw it because Raiola popped up, and so I watched,
when I
and I'm
moved,
like, this is impressive. And then I clicked on to watch all of his other
Sure.
videos.
when
He's
I
a
moved
dude.
when I moved to Omaha, it was the worst thing about leaving Lincoln. I had to leave Mike, and so Mike and I would talk about fantasy football. He loves the Patriots, and we would just talk about Tom Brady, whether he was going to come back or not, or whatever it was. And now look at him; he's cutting up Dylan Raiola.
Where's his chair located?
At Burke's
Oh,
at
okay.
48th and Vine.
He does great work.
I love Mike. Mike is fantastic. I'm glad Mike is getting his due.
Well, he's on TikTok.
Charles goes in the chat. This is a giant nothing burger. Kind of hope that's the type of burgers Dylan Raiola's been eating, for being honest. That was a good one, guys. That was a good joke. Like, that was clever. All right.
I mean, yeah, it's still a burger. Burger's a burger. You know what I'm saying?
It's a nothing burger.
All right.
Would that be a turkey burger? Or
It's a-
Impossible meat.
Hell no.
is he vegan?
All right. But
Have a good show. When do you leave for
It ain't
when do you leave to go home?
Thursday morning.
Are you gonna hang out with family?
No, I'm not going to alert them that I'll be in town. I don't.
Wow, if I could have that power.
I like them, but they're not going to come in from Long Island. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because Long Island's on fire right now.
I'm not going to ask them to come in from Long
Hey,
Island.
hot take, Connor Happer. I like them.
Maybe I'll get one of my.
Parentheses family.
I'll get one of my cousins. He works in the city. He's probably scaling some building or something like that. He's crazy. Maybe I'll send him a.
Is he
text.
like a construction worker or is he like a Red Bull athlete?
No, he's like an iron
Oh,
worker.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. What's over or under your size of your room you're staying in?
Oh, it's
500 square feet.
500 square feet. I'd say maybe the size of this room that we're in right now. What
Okay, that's
is
not
that
bad.
pretty big? Maybe it's smaller.
That's not bad. It's a hotel or Airbnb.
It's a hotel. It's a hotel.
okay.
Yeah.
Close to the garden.
Quite. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Very close.
All right.
All right. Well, you guys have
you not been there before, have you?
I've not been to the Big East tournament.
That's awesome.
No, I'm fired up. I'm so.
It's
jacked.
on my bucket list.
I'm so.
It
jacked.
is. Me
Yeah.
too. I said that.
I'm so jacked.
And you're there
Worked
for the
out.
whole- you're there for the whole time.
I will be. I will be unless Creighton loses on Thursday.
But you'll be. Well, will you be doing the show?
No, I'm not
Oh.
doing the show Thursday or Friday.
So quick past history of middays at the Big East tournament when Nick Ball was doing it.
Mhm.
There was, I wish I could remember the game. It might have been a UConn game. There was like last second shot after last second shot. And Nick all of a sudden was just like into play-by-play and just described, and you know how Nick is. Nick gets super excited.
Oh, I
You
know.
had- You didn't know
I'm
what was
aware.
going on, but all you could hear is people going nuts in the background.
So good. Yeah, we're not gonna do the show on Thursday.
All right. Well, we'll live vicariously.
There
through you.
will be a show.
There will be a show. I will not be on it, but maybe I'll be on it if Josh, calls me. I'll be like, yeah, I'm at the bagel.
Well,
Can't
just-
wait for my 8-hour day.
Hey,
I
just
might. We only
hey,
got one
just
guest on
make sure
Thursday.
that when you call into your own show, they don't hang up on you.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was-
that would be terrible.
He was yelling and screaming. He was Ted yesterday at the end of the show, and he kept saying, "I'm in Sioux Falls. I'm in Sioux Falls." And I go, "What
Are
happened?"
you
in Sioux-"
drunk?
Not at that point. I say that for Big Red overreaction. And they hung up on me.
You were giving us nothing. You were a bad caller. You were a bad
Okay.
caller.
Okay, of all the great
Wow.
callers that call this radio station,
Rack 'em.
I think in the terms of bad callers, I was in the better part of
I
it.
you know this. I've been seeding everybody, right, who communicates with us, whether it be emails or phones, because we're gonna have a bracket, and almost everybody gets a call, and I put him. Ted did not get put in the seed. Okay,
Ted would be in a play-in game and go on a run
that's not good.
and probably get
That's
to the
not
NCAA
good. That's
tournament as an 11
good.
seed.
That's not good.
All right. See you guys later. That's Crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlevelconcrete.com. It's Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
That's the Crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
Heading out the door this morning with a little bit of a north breeze out there, but that will die down as the day goes on, and we'll have mostly sunny skies and still a pretty mild high temperature in the 50s. It's not the spectacular 82 degrees that we got yesterday, but still spring-like and more spring-like days in the forecast this week. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620 The Zone. midweek.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. We do not have a parody song for you today, but we'll try again tomorrow.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe there's something.
it's a lot of pressure.
Well, I mean, Matt Rule's talking. He's talking about things and weights and numbers.
Because I'm fat, you know it. Come on.
Okay, I would love to hear a Josh Hodson Michael Jackson remix. Yeah, oh yeah.
Come on.
You got to really go to some places, Josh.
You do.
Okay.
I need more water if I'm going to do that.
Yep. That not good right to start off the show, but I'll talk to you like 1 o'clock and we'll see if we're ready to rip it at that point. Matt Rule talking right now. We'll of course have the all the notes from that coming up here in just a couple minutes, and we'll see what we can throw together on that. What the main headlines of the day are. I have some guesses. I have some guesses on a couple. Most recently, Matt Rule saying, I don't think any of us appreciated how good Ty Robinson was. He was single-handedly like a cheat code last year, wrecking stuff in the middle. So Nebraska got to work on creating a defense that doesn't have a cheat code on it this year. Or maybe they create another cheat code.
You can have multiple cheat codes.
You can have multiple cheat codes. It's allowed. Today on the show, we'll talk to Allan Bell, driving the line 11:30, and we'll talk about some small conference tournaments with him and what we're looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, probably some college baseball as well. Maybe what the appropriate weight is for a college football quarterback. Everything in between. Jacob Bigelow will join us at 1. That is the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Would love to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Joshio, 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We say good morning to the YouTube streamers out there today. Can I get some onions in the chat?
Oh, good one.
Onions!
It is onion season.
Can I get some onions in the chat? Onions, also a food.
It's a vegetable, though. I don't know if... Never mind.
People do say, hey, there's a vegetable on this hamburger. Onions. And I'm like,
Is it really?
Like, work on some vegetables. I work on vegetables all the time. I like onions. I'm like, I don't know if that counts. All right, so can I get some onions in the chat? Thank you. It's appreciated, everyone. And that is the setup for the show today. Fred Hoiberg speaks on the radio last night following Nebraska ball's very bad, no good finish to the year. He also
they missed the Big Ten tournament.
People forget that, Josh.
I got enraged. I was listening to a podcast, let's just put it that way, on the way home last night, on the drive home, and I got enraged that Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
And I don't even like Nebraska ball.
It's pretty shocking. Once that's your punchline for the year. They failed to make the Big Ten tournament. Fred Hoiberg, also a big fan of the game. 2 truths and a lie. We'll discuss that as we go on throughout the show today. There is baseball tonight in the area. Nebraska hosts Wichita State for 2 this week. Creighton
Shockers
has a big battle with Kansas State tonight. You can hear that right here on 1620 The Zone. If you want to listen to Connor Happer talk about baseball.
You should.
Connor Happer, I believe Glenn Sisk will join me tonight.
Hello. Will it be as good as it gets tonight?
It'll be as good as it gets. Now, a little cooler today. Yeah. Yesterday, you might have been able to convince me this might be as good as it gets.
82 in March.
We were in the mids, just sitting right there in the mid 70s with perfect sun, not a lot of wind.
Yeah, not stupid windy.
Yeah. And that might have been as good as it gets. But we did not have baseball yesterday. And then UNO is going to come back and they'll play, or Omaha, whatever. They're going to play Kansas State tomorrow at Tal. So K-State takes the 2-game road swing at Creighton and Omaha this week. Yesterday was a hilarious day in the NFL with free agency hitting and Twitter being down at the same time. Apparently did not go well.
Sure.
So we'll touch on that a little bit. We'll look back at, just briefly, if we get a second, Today's March 11th, Josh.
3-11. 3-3-11.
March 11th. March 11th, 5 years ago. There were some events that happened.
Oh, there were?
Uh-huh.
I don't recall.
Oh, really?
Nothing changed at my place of work.
Well, things changed at other places of work.
Oh, okay.
Tournaments and things like that. Rudy Gobert, Tom Hanks.
Touched all those microphones.
Yeah. Fred Hoiberg was a big part of that day.
He was.
5 years ago, Armand Gates was seen on the Nebraska bench dumping hand sanitizer onto his hands, trying to avoid what we then called coronavirus.
That's right.
The coronavirus. So we have, and then of course, everything that Matt Rule is still saying and has said over the last about 40 or so minutes. And that's the setup for the show today. Glad you're with us, everyone.
Love to have you.
Appreciate it. I'm glad that many people after yesterday were calling me the songbird of a generation.
Yeah, I think any debate as to who the songbird of this generation is now over. It is Connor Happer. Clear as day.
So anybody else has any parody ideas, like Black Cat on YouTube?
Black Cat.
Can we get 311 parody today? It's 311 day. I don't have anything cooked up, and I don't know what I mean, it would obviously be about Dylan Raiola being
portly,
chubby, but I don't have the punchline for it. You know, it's gotta just kind of come to you. Charles says Happer sounded like a combination of Fergie and Jesus.
He did. It was beautiful.
It's like a combination of Fergie and Jesus. All right, so that is the setup for today's show. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back after this on a Tuesday on 1620 The Zone, but I do have a reminder for you all before we do that. Speaking of the big basketball championship this year, we have censored 1620. Registration runs until March 23rd at 1620thezone.com, and on March 26th, we'll select 16 listeners to be paired with 16 teams. That is when we get to that point in the big tournament. And then, of course, on the championship day, a champion will be crowned. The winner, who is paired with the champion of the big tournament, will win $1,620. Second place, $500. Third and fourth place, $100. It's really that simple. Head to 1620thezone.com/censored1620 right now to be a part of this great event. It's now a tradition here at 1620 The Zone. Censored 1620.
He gives you the latest sports news, analysis, and commentary in a clean, concise, and disease-free way.
See there?
What a relief! Thank God!
Wonderful! It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Once again, we'll catch up with Matt Rule. Rocco Spindler talking right now. I think we're going to hear from Dane Key potentially as well at today's press conference. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Here's one from Rocco Spindler. Quote, "We've got to be an O-line driven program."
Oh, that'll play well.
Yeah, that guy gets it. He knows who he's talking to. That's for sure. So we'll have some of that coming up in a few minutes. I want to go back to yesterday real quick, where it was NFL free agency hitting. I saw multiple videos yesterday of NFL insiders taking phone calls live on the shows that they were doing as they were tracking free agency, because apparently the NFL, like people within the NFL, GMs, coaches, front office staff, people, they were calling the insiders to figure out what was going on, because they had no idea what was going on because Twitter was down for the majority of the morning yesterday. Mark Garofalo went on NFL Network and said, agents and teams are hitting us up like, what are you guys doing? Because they follow this stuff just as much as we do. So when X goes down, they're operating without a net here. They have no idea where to find all this stuff. It makes for a mildly interesting conversation. And, thinking about how the importance of an established thing like Twitter as on the sports media landscape. Now, of course, you'll figure it out, but you see a couple tweets out there and you're like, all right, now we gotta work based off of this. They're doing that. They're doing that. All right. We're trying to find out what the destinations are for these people and what calls we need to make after this. But if you don't know, you're operating in the dark because Twitter is down. That's a lot of weight to be put on one thing's shoulders.
Are we doing weight puns all day today? Is that what we're doing?
No.
Okay.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Okay.
But that's very heavy. It's very heavy for Twitter. Apparently too heavy.
I couldn't believe the quotes coming out of the NFL Twitter is down universe.
It was so funny.
Like,
it was a super underrated party yesterday because we didn't really get to see it all play out because like we said, Twitter was just kind of on the fritz.
I guess we don't have news wires anymore.
No, it's like, where do we go? We
things.
became so used to this. Like, imagine what, if Twitter was down 5 years ago at this exact moment.
Oh.
We wouldn't be able to follow the Rudy Gobert touching all the microphones and things like that. But it did make way for one person who I have great admiration for. He did actually get off a tweet yesterday. Not an NFL insider, although maybe he wants to become one. 9:22 local time yesterday, Eastern time yesterday. Royals first baseman Vinnie Pasquantino did a tweet. And the tweet said, actually, it was 9:22 his time. So 11:22 yesterday morning around here, 12:22 Eastern time. Justin Fields to the Jets. Sources, me, 2 years, $35 million. Okay, going to the cages to start my day. And then what do you know? 2 hours later, Adam Schefter finally got back on Twitter to break the news that indeed Justin Fields was going to the New York Jets on a 2-year contract. Schefter reported that it was worth $40 million over 2 years, featuring $30 million in guaranteed money. But Vinnie Pasquantino, NFL insider Vinnie Pasquantino, had the bones of this deal before 2 hours before Adam Schefter had it yesterday, which was only made possible by the fact that Twitter was on the fritz all morning. Or maybe Vinnie Pasquantino is just angling to become an NFL insider. He's a huge Jets fan. He loves the Jets. And apparently is mildly plugged in. I don't know how he got the Justin Fields news yesterday, but he got it and it was accurate. And then he went into the batting cages and started hitting line drives.
Imagine being that plugged in. Like, you're
Hey, I just got this thing. What do I do with it?
Mhm.
You know? And Vinnie Pasquantino, he has the platform, but just not usually for that, right? So when people, he tweets that out, people see it, they're like, wait a minute, hang on. He's just making this up, right? He's just trolling. Nope.
I mean,
Real NFL newsbreaker Vinnie Pasquantino.
it wasn't just from a standpoint of, yeah, I'm plugged in. I know, I got friends inside the building because I'm a fan of that team. I know the Jets are going to sign Justin Fields. It was like, no, I know the years and the dollars and like all of they
It's
told
like,
they
I
told
have
me
this-
everything.
I have this from the front office. And so that was yesterday. Joey writes in on YouTube,
Hi, Joey.
with Cags coming behind Vinny, he should start looking for another occupation. Maybe he could be
Whoa.
NFL insider, not Major League Baseball first baseman Vinnie Pasquantino. No, we would, we want to keep Vinny, but this town might only be big enough for one of us.
Whoa. You saying they should move him?
Well, somebody's got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because my guy Cags is he coming.
He coming?
Yeah, he coming.
What's, trying to think. What's your third base situation?
Well, no, neither of those people could play third base unless
Well.
you want to be the first team with a left-handed third baseman.
Okay, yeah, that would be. I forgot about that.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, we
yep.
just talked about that last week.
Yeah, I don't think Vinny would probably be a good fit for the outfield. So maybe Cags is a good fit for the outfield.
Yeah, not a lot of spots left.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting in that way.
DH or nothing.
Oh well, you got old Salvador Perez who
Mhm.
probably needs to DH
Yep.
about 70% of the time these days.
That's right.
Well, so there's something to watch there if you're interested in Royals roster dynamics.
Definitely am.
NFL insider Vinnie Pasquantino breaking news yesterday. Charles writes in,
Hi, Charles.
Happer is going to marry Cags on top of the mountain. Hey, if you're first round draft pick and you come in and you hit a bunch of home runs, yeah, I would love to marry you on top of a mountain.
Well, I mean, I think maybe you're not saying that, but maybe you're saying when this is all over, you should get an apartment together.
Maybe that is what I'm saying. Quickly, a comment before we'll tee things up here for the 11 o'clock hour. Captain writes in.
Hi, Cap.
Didn't Rule say on a podcast
Yeah, podcast
that
is all
Dylan
caps.
was working harder than everyone, first in the weight room, first one doing drills? Last year he was listed at 230. He sure as hell didn't add 10 pounds of muscle. What's going on with Dylan Raiola?
I have some follow-up questions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. This might be worth a conversation then. We'll do that when we return on a Tuesday edition of the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
This morning, we got a press release alert from the University of Nebraska. They have officially hired Pat Stewart as their general manager. General manager
of
Nebraska football.
Nebraska football. Okay,
Yes.
we got a GM.
We have a GM. We have basically a full front office staff at this point.
Okay. It's allowed.
He was the director of pro personnel for the New England Patriots for the last 2 years. Has been a scout in the NFL. Was with Rule at in Carolina from 2020 to 2022 when Rule served as the head coach there, or as Greg in Myrtle Beach would call it, middle school Rule.
I'm familiar.
Quote, this is from Rule, we are moving into an era in college football where roster management and retention are more closely resembles the National Football League model. Pat Stewart will help us manage our roster and operate in a way that will help give Nebraska the opportunity to compete as one of the elite football programs in the country. Pat and I have experience working together in the past, and I look forward to him joining our Nebraska football family. Stewart says, there are few, if any, institutions as capable of transitioning into this new era of roster construction as Nebraska. That is a testament to Troy Dannon, Coach Rule, and the rest of the administration for their commitment to continuing to build on the proud and storied legacy of Nebraska football. I'm honored to work with Coach again, as well as the staff he has assembled, and offer my experience and personnel as we build and maintain a roster that the greatest fans in college football will be proud of. The energy and culture of the program has been evident in the short time I have been here, and this is an exciting time for me and my family as I join the Nebraska football family. Sounds like Nebraska is going to make Pat Stewart a relatively high-paid member of the staff as well. I know I saw some figures out there for Jim Nagy, who took over as the GM of Oklahoma football a couple days ago. Wasn't a small investment that Oklahoma made. I would imagine that Nebraska would probably follow along in those lines, and it's an important spot. I don't know that it has an exact, part of the challenge of transitioning and being in a constant state of transition, and this summer it gets even crazier with revenue sharing and all of these other things that come into play, and limits, and hopefully some more guidance from the NCAA and the conference level. Part of the challenge of all of this is figuring out who does what. Restructuring jobs, job titles, responsibilities, duties, things like that. So Nebraska over this offseason they've really beefed up their, all of that stuff. They've brought a lot of people in. I continue to go back to the, and you might look at that. Mike Riley did a lot, similar to this in his time. And one of the complaints, at least that came out at the end of the Riley era, was like, all right, hey, look, there's too many cooks in the kitchen here. Who's in charge? Is it Billy Devaney? Is it Bob Diaco? Is it Sean Eichhorst? Is it Mike Riley? Is it, I don't know, is it Danny Langsdorf? Like, who is in charge? I don't think that will be a concern with Rule, given how many takes he has on everything, how specific he is and what he wants to do. But I don't think you should be concerned about, like, all right, is Pat Stewart just going to be sitting there and they don't have anything for him to do, or they're not sure what they need him to do? I imagine you cut out this role on your roster, and your coaching staff, with the express written purpose of, like, here's what we have, here's what we need you to do, and here's what we're entrusting you with. And so I don't think there's any doubt that Rule is the face and the voice and the person that's in charge, as evidenced by 7-hour-long staff meetings with the staff a couple weeks ago. That's what Phil Snow had to say. So Nebraska made that announcement official today. And he is Pat Stewart. He is joining the program. That rule is spoken. When I get to those things in a second, obviously there's one big thing that we should talk about. But
I like what you're doing.
Thank you. But there's also Rocco Spindler has spoken, Dane Key has spoken, and now Dasan McCullough is speaking as well. Those are 3 experienced transfer players that Nebraska has brought into their roster this season, each of which they'll expect to start and play a big role on what they do, both the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
They're saying good things. They're saying
things.
What do you like?
Rocco Spindler's talking about how offensive linemen are the best.
I like that.
Nebraska Jack linebacker Dasan McCullough has played in the Big Ten, SEC, and the Big 12. He prefers the traditional Big Ten style of defense. He thrived against that as a true freshman at Indiana. Felt like a long time ago that he was balling at Indiana. He was really good there. They ended up at Oklahoma, doing a couple different things throughout his time. So we'll see where Nebraska slots him. But that's let's talk about this quote, Josh. As we mentioned in the crossover, many tweeted this out. That Dylan Raiola is working on his body composition. Quote, he won't be a great quarterback at 240 pounds. But according to, I would like to hear the whole, if you see the video of this come across, Josh, grab it. Because I'd like to play it and just hear what the tone of it is. He won't be a great quarterback at 240 pounds. And on Sam's tweet, it says, Raiola knows that is working well. Like, Josh, maybe you're about to say something different. I don't really have a lot of doubts about his work ethic. Like, I do think he is a really hard worker, and I think he's working hard on the leadership aspect of what he's bringing to the table. Obviously, we've seen him, get out in the community and do some things like that, and kind of become the transition into being the face. I mean, part of the deal last year, you're a freshman quarterback, and then there's also such an established leadership on Nebraska's roster. You have Ty Robinson, and you have Isaac Gifford, and you have John Bullock, and you have Nash Hutmaker, and you have, guys who stepped into leadership roles on the offensive side of the ball. One of the reasons why the offense, kind of, wilted last year before hiring Daniel Holgorsen, I think, is because it didn't have probably a whole lot of voices, from a leadership perspective. It was new for Jamal Banks still, and Dylan Raiola is obviously a freshman, so he has to be careful about the way he wants to really take a hold of things. Now, there's a bit of a leadership gap. There's sort of a vacuum. You're bringing in these transfers. They're older. Obviously, they'll be expected to be big players for Nebraska and productive players for Nebraska. But also, you're transitioning from what the core of your roster is to very old and experienced guys who have been around for 4, 5, and 6 years to, I think, the core of your roster that isn't transfers at this point is, guys who are around the age of Dylan Raiola, or maybe a year older, guys who have been in the program for 2 and 3 years instead of 4 and 5 and 6, and it kind of becomes their team. So I think there's a different feel and a different look to that, and Raiola is obviously going to be expected to be one of the voices in there. However, there is the whole 240-pound elephant in the room. And I'm sure people have thoughts on that.
Yes.
I don't need him. I don't need him to be 240 pounds. I don't need that.
No, I don't think this will be an issue come August. But I've been commenting on him attending so many basketball games, not because I don't think he should be attending basketball games. I don't question his work ethic. I'm questioning it on the back end. If the team loses 3 games in a row, this is the stuff that's going to come up. and he's going to have to deal with
I think so.
mental. Yes, I think. Well, it depends on how seriously you take like colors on Big Red overreaction and social media.
Okay, so
reaction to
let's
things.
stop there and ask that question. Do you care? Do you care if he is? Do you care?
I care
if he is large and in charge.
I care if he's 240 against Cincinnati. Yes.
Yeah.
Today on March 11th.
You could be in. I mean,
no, probably not.
Look at his. I mean, some of this is just like he can't help it, right?
He's a bigger guy.
He's a bigger guy.
Mhm.
He was a high school catcher. You know, like his dad's an offensive lineman, right? So like some of that, he was always bigger than all of the other quarterbacks. You know, I think he was probably a little bit more physically, I don't know, physically developed is probably the right word, but he was always probably a little bit bigger than the people around him at that position. And so I don't know, you'll probably notice if he's 240. I wouldn't expect him to be 240 by the time the season rolls around. But at the same time, like, it's not like I need him to be super athletic and fast. You know, I don't need him run around. Obviously, what he did with his legs in the second half of the season last year, making a couple runs, you know, having the big one against Ohio State, like that was great. But like I don't need him to be. I don't need him to be skinny, but at the same time, I also don't want him to be fat.
No,
I don't want him to be fat.
Your brain sort of tricks you because of the Mahomes comparisons.
This is not good.
He's actually like his body, like height and weight. He's the same weight that Ben Roethlisberger played at. I mean, but he's like 2 inches shorter, if that's something that matters to you. So you kind of have to get into the right frame of mind, I guess, when you're thinking about what he should and shouldn't be.
Thank you, Josh. Ben Roethlisberger was fat and good.
He won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Husker Hoops Central writes in on the J Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Can DR put in the work to get to 285 levels of greatness? That is the hefty lefty, a picture of the hefty lefty, Jared Lorenzen. Hopefully it doesn't get that big. Probably doesn't have the frame for it either. Wouldn't look great at that point. Sam writes in with a picture of Jordan Love on a boat. I'm a Packers fan and love our cardio boy quarterback. Yeah, he's skinny. Some people like their quarterbacks curvy. Some people do. I don't. I'd prefer he not be that large. I'd prefer he not be that heavy. At the same time, like I don't know how big of an impact. Like, you know, he'll get made fun of a lot if he rolls out there at his 240 and rolls out there.
Well, I mean, last season they were calling him Patrick Mahomes in road games.
Yeah,
which I don't like it, but that's kind of clever.
Yeah. Should we take this phone call, Josh?
He would like us to.
Did you screen it?
How
careful were you?
I was derided for my slow phone answering abilities.
Well, that's the only not always Josh's fault.
That's the only thing we talked about.
You come on this station and you start yelling at producers, you're going to hear it from me. But let's take this call and see what's going on. It is caller Damon. Hello, Damon.
What in the world is going on over there? How are you guys?
Hey, I'm great. You know, it's hard to tell sometimes.
I'm a bigger guy. I'm a little slower.
Hey, well, I called the call screening leaves a little to be desired. He didn't even ask what I wanted to talk about.
Well, Josh, you have an answer to that?
He's a one topic caller.
I'm not. I will never be mad at Josh because I think he's hilarious. So he gets a lot of grace. I think I have to start with the boss, Connor. So I'm holding you responsible.
All right, yeah, it all comes from me, top down.
Well, I mean, it's not like you guys share. It's very much a collab show. It's kind of funny. I like it.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad. What did you have to say, Damon? Caller Damon.
Well, lots, because I don't have any friends. So sometimes I just want to talk, and I talk to myself. So I figured, you know what? I have another guy that talks a ton. How about talking to Happer?
Perfect.
Because Well, did you feel like, and I'm curious because you're really good at this, like this kind of self-awareness thing. When he talks to us about you can't have it both ways, or the scheduling, or do it like this, or the best interest of Nebraska. Like, which stance do you take? Do you take it from a fan standpoint, or like the media? He's talking to the media. Like, how do you digest it?
When Rule is talking about the schedules?
Yeah, like stuff like that's just an example. Like when he says, like, look, guys, you can't have it both ways. Like, it can't be this, it can't be that. Like, how do you take that?
I don't know. I try to just take it at face value. I understand that he might be talking to, talking to different people when he says the things that he says. But I try to take it at face value.
Are you surprised that he's more aggressive with his tone?
It seems to be a little bit of a turn over the last. I mean, he came out and said it. He was like, hey, look, I've gotten to this point in my career where I don't care about this stuff anymore. I'm just going to say it.
See, when he said that, I kind of thought he was joking.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not.
Yeah, maybe he's not. I don't know. It definitely seems different than when he got here. He's not tiptoeing as much anymore. I don't.
A lot of jokes have a kernel of truth to them.
Right. So, but I'll use this was the top. This was just funny. I was like, well, Happer, he's overweight. Like, Dylan does need to get in better shape. But I don't mean just from like how he looks. I mean, like, if you want that guy to take like next level leadership.
Yes.
Like, that's what I think he's talking about. But do you think he heard us, or they were already going through this process when we're like, golly, man, if he could just run a little bit, this would change this offense dramatically.
Well, I think the way he's always approached it has been like, well, the reason that I could say this out loud is because I have already had these conversations with these people.
Yeah, I told him this.
Yeah. And everyone, like, we're on the same page already. So then when I go and say it, it's not like I'm talking behind your back or something like that.
You think it's 2025? Are we past like fat shaming, or is it back?
It might be back. I don't know.
Why? Because I'm telling you, the way that they talk about the way guys look, they're not afraid.
No. It's way more. I don't know. I don't know if transactional is the right word for it, but it's like, hey, look, you got a job to do, and we're going to hold you accountable, like, in public. It's different.
Okay. I was curious, and you know what? Anytime I get a chance, I have to maybe prepare myself, because according to Josh, he's got all these big ideas. I don't believe him at all, especially.
Yeah, Josh, what's your big idea?
I got big ideas.
When I asked him the follow-up question and he gave me the response, I know he has to be joking. But you guys can talk about that later.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I've just read the quote.
So Josh proposed something, okay? And I was like, oh, sure, right? That'd be interesting. And I was like, oh, do I have any friends? Like, who's going to come along? And he told me, and I'm hoping he's joking.
I got to look at the record here.
Yeah, what's your idea?
Oh, my God. Oh my God.
We do a live show from Golden Palace? Is that your idea?
Oh, that would actually be good. This thing happens more towards June. June, Josh.
Oh.
June. Jiminy flipping Christmas.
I told you the folks were good with that. Are you not okay with that?
No, I am.
Okay.
But I asked you a follow-up later on.
Oh, you did. You
Anyway,
did.
Not great radio, because Connor's being special, so I don't want to put him on the spot. But I have one other thing, Connor.
Okay.
Because you have insight, when you pick people for, are you nervous because you're like, oh my God, what is this guy going to ask?
I don't know. I never know what you're going to say, so I just,
I know.
take it on the road.
It's crazy. Listen, I don't even know what I'm going to say. When you're doing like events and people are doing competitions, do you know like if they have a chance to win or not?
I could usually, I can usually, there's some profiling, there's some stereotyping. I usually have a pretty good guess as if the person's going to have a chance or not.
Can you see them before, or how are you How are you drawing names?
Yeah, I don't pick them. They just bring me the person, and then I, and then it's my judgment sort of from there. But we get to talk, and I get to gauge where the confidence levels are and stuff like that. So, yeah, the one that we had on Sunday was not great.
Do you encourage? Are you like, hey, you can do this? Because you don't strike me as a phony baloney guy.
If they come in too confident, I'll try to knock them down. If they don't come in confident enough, I'll try to build them up. I want to keep it even keeled.
Okay. Can we trade? Like, if I'm gonna talk to you from time to time, can I call and you call me and we talk like Creighton baseball and stuff? Can we do that?
Yeah. All right. We'll just call each other. We're talking about on shows and things of that nature.
Well, what does Josh say?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Josh is good with it.
Okay. All right. So this is like handshake meme.
I think so. Sounds like it's handshake meme.
Making deals.
Do you need? So you have called under the name Damon. You like. We're not gonna call. We don't have to call you like Ted or whatever the pseudo name you made up for yourself that one day was.
Yeah, because my voice doesn't give it away. No. So can it just be like a bit? Like, you guys like bits? Can sometimes I'd be like, I don't know. You know who I want to be? Like, because I loved him in my former life when I would talk to him all the time. Do you know who deep down I want to be of all your listeners? And I know you're going to say Random Mike because I like him too, but that's not it.
Okay.
I want to be Greg in Myrtle Beach.
Greg in Myrtle Beach will parachute in every now and then and just, he's got stuff to say.
Listen, he's hilarious. I don't know why. I've always liked him. I want to be Greg in Myrtle Beach just for a day. I want to be able to get on a private plane, go shoot a 71. Like, I've been an NFL, NBA scout, dabbled as a lawyer, apparently made a ton of money. And he has a cool accent. Like, I want to be Greg in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, my guy's tied in, I guess. He's locked in.
Dude, there's connected, and then there's Greg. That's all I know.
Are you good? Or do you have anything else to say?
No, not unless you want to ask me anything. If you don't want to ask me anything, I think I can go now.
Did you like my song? Did you hear it?
No, I thought that thing sucked balls. Like, that was terrible. Big donkey balls.
So that's
what that meant.
So you did hear it.
Yeah, I listened to it.
And that's why you said that?
Yeah, big, fat donkey ball. That's what I said.
All right. Well, I thought it was good. I liked it.
Stibbs fooled you. Stibbs made you think that I actually liked it. But Stibbs is certifiable, so you can't believe that guy.
Well, why? If he's certifiable, I would be more likely to believe him.
No, he is hilarious, though. That guy. No, it was okay.
Right. I'll try again.
I graded it. So on creativity, it was like a 8.
Okay.
But I knew where you were going, so the delivery before the song came on, you should have made it seem like, I may or may not make fun of Nebraska. I don't know. I just want you to hear this bit. But like, I was expecting you to be super snarky, and it wasn't. So I was like, oh man, that's kind of what I thought.
Okay. Presentation is important.
Okay.
That's a good note.
That is.
But I'm telling you, the creativity was, I just want to hear you do what did you build? What refrain did you build it around again?
Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah. I just wanted to see you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard to type the rest.
It wasn't that hard. It took me like 8 minutes to write the whole song. It was fantastic.
What?
Oh yeah. Once I built that one line, the rest of the song just built itself. Really, it was great.
Yeah, when I would consider you creative a little bit too. So that's pretty good.
All right, thank you. So pretty good. We went from donkey balls to pretty good.
No, 8 minutes is pretty good. The song sucked.
Okay, all right. Good to hear from you, Damon. Bye.
Bye.
Damon Benning, new caller to the show.
That was Damon Benning?
That was Damon Benning, Orange Bowl MVP.
Wow. Calling our show.
Having takes on parody songs and tones of words and weights of people.
Okay, let's suss this out a little bit.
Mhm.
I thought about asking him about the basketball games.
Which ones?
Hey, do you think he's going to too many basketball games?
Oh. Well, I'm sure he's still listening.
I kind of want to know if I'm on an island there.
He's probably still listening. He probably
I also have his phone number. I could just text him or call him anytime I want.
Do you think he's going to too many basketball games?
See, I don't know. I've worked myself into a shoot, as the wrestling fans say. I don't know what I actually
You can feel what you want to feel,
anymore.
baby. If you think he's going to too many basketball games?
I don't have a problem with him going to the basketball games.
Many people go to many basketball games, but not a lot of people talk about it as much.
Yeah, him being like, hey, y'all got to look at me if I'm going to this basketball game.
Yeah,
is I think where I lie.
It maybe doesn't always rub you the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I got to be rubbed the right way. You know this.
Yeah, you do. That's why when people call in and start yelling at you on the phone, telling you to screen calls better,
not getting in. Gonna wait 8 minutes,
but sometimes you might. All right, we'll take a break. Allan Bell's going to join us on the other side. We'll ask him anything. How he prefers his quarterbacks.
That's the best part about Allan Bell.
Yeah.
You can ask him anything.
It's fantastic. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. The Big Ten Conference has announced things, Josh.
Weight restrictions for quarterbacks?
No.
Okay.
That would be fat shaming.
That would, and we don't do that as a society.
So, in the release that they just sent out, they got the year wrong.
Classic Big Ten.
2023-2024, all Big Ten men's basketball honors.
Hey, we got to do the press release. Can you pull up the file? Yeah, I'll just use last year's.
Yeah, use last year. We'll just put in the names. But these are the names that are on the list from the coaches.
There weren't any red squiggly lines, so I didn't think I had any typos.
And if you are in all caps, you are unanimous, I believe, right?
I got it up on the screen.
That's how it usually works. Oh, you do?
Yeah, look at that.
Now, okay, these are combined. All right. So let me read you the coaches section. Player of the Year, Braden Smith. Defensive Player of the Year, Ace Baldwin. Freshman of the Year, Derek Queen.
Oh.
Co-coach of the year, Tom Izzo. There's just one of them, though. So I don't know if that makes him coach of the year.
What an incredible release.
First team, Derek Queen, Bryce Williams, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Braden Smith, John Tanji. By the media, the first teamers were Vlad Golden, Bryce Williams, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Braden Smith, John Tanji. So there you go. Braden Smith, John Tanji, Trey Kaufman-Wren, and Bryce Williams, each on both of first team coaches and media Big Ten lists. All Big Ten.
Incredibly impressive that Bryce Williams made both first team lists and missed the Big Ten tournament.
They did.
Normally, people would go, well, yeah, he's a good player, but I mean, this team missed the tournament.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
We got a guy at the 16th place team who is dropping 20 points a game. Like, yeah. How's second team sound to you, my friend? All right. So media, as selected by the voting media panel, Braden Smith, Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Derek Queen, Coach of the Year, Tom Izzo. Already mentioned the first team. Second team, Derek Queen, Danny Wolf, Dawson Garcia, Nick Martinelli, Bruce Thornton. Third team, Mr. Yakachonis from Illinois.
Hello.
Jacoby Gillespie, Jace Richardson, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. You got to give those guys their due. You know, the one and dones from Rutgers. Got to put them on there. Honorable mention. Did any other Nebraska folks make the honorable mention category? No. No.
Couldn't possibly.
No. So one honoree by the conference today, but congratulations to Bryce Williams, named first team All Big Ten. Actually, hold on.
What do you got?
Raleigh Worcester was the other Husker honored, as he was Nebraska's sportsmanship nominee. So I guess everybody gets a sportsmanship nominee.
Yeah, like the Walter Payton Award. Everyone's got a nominee.
So he was kind of honored, but he was selected by his own team to represent the sportsmanship of the conference. Prior to this season, James Palmer Jr. was Nebraska's most recent first team All Big Ten selection, as he was honored with that in 2018. Williams, Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Wren, John Tanji were first team by both, and then Derek Queen and Vlad Golden got one of each on the other side. So how many all first team all conference honors is that first team All Big Ten? Is it just two in the Big Ten era for Nebraska? Is it just him and Palmer, or did Siobhan get it in 2014? I guess that would have probably been or Siobhan or Petaway. I don't think probably not Petaway, but I could check on that real quick. But how about that? A great honor for Bryce Williams.
Many people are requesting you to make a song about it in the interest of equal time.
About Bryce Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's coming to me.
Hmm.
Nothing's coming to me.
Um,
I'm trying to find the list of, gosh, this is going to be way too difficult to find on the fly here. But yeah, if you go back to like 2014, I wonder if you go back to 13, 14, I wonder what that all conference team would look like. Mustache Adam writes in,
hi, Mustache.
objectively funny that Nebraska ball has a first team all Big Ten player and they missed not just the NCAA tournament, but the Big Ten tournament. People forget Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
That's what I'm saying. They missed it.
They missed the whole thing.
20. Oh, that's preseason. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll be quiet now. Player of the week, watch list, honors, all Big Ten first team, all Big Ten second team.
Is nobody on there? All right, 2014.
Petaway was all Big Ten third team
All right.
by the coaches and media.
There you go. There you go. Tim Miles was, of course, the coach of the year. Siobhan Shields got honorable mention that year. That's crap. No, Petaway was first team by the coaches and the media in 2014. Did you say third team?
Yes.
It's first team.
I'm looking at 14-15, I guess.
You're looking at the wrong year. 13-14 was the year that I was. 14-15 went too far off the rails for Nebraska to get. I guess this year you could argue went off the rails as well.
Definitely.
So Teran Petaway was a first teamer in 2013-14. Nebraska went to the NCAA tournament. James Palmer was a first teamer in 17-18. Nebraska did not make the NCAA tournament, and then Bryce Williams this year. I believe those are the only three that have ever been first team all Big Ten conference at the University of Nebraska. So congratulations to Bryce Williams. A great honor. Sir, I mean, I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. It is hard to make a first team all conference team, and especially to do it in a league that's 18 people or 18 teams, and with all the good players, all the players that end up in the NBA, and especially given, like we said before, how Nebraska's season went. So seriously, a great honor for Bryce Williams. Later on, we'll talk about what Fred Hoiberg had to say last night about the future of Nebraska basketball, how they're going to be back, folks.
All the way back?
I don't know. We'll see what Fred Hoiberg has to say a little bit later on in the show. We'll still dive into some things that Matt Rule had to say and the three players that went up and spoke today as well. But we will take a break here first. Josh will come back with the odd news coming up on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right. Josh, did you get a car wash yesterday?
I didn't.
I had a car wash yesterday.
Yeah? Must have been nice to have time to get a car wash.
I'm looking at the car wash forecast right now on
yeah.
WOWT. They're saying it's a pretty good time to get a car wash.
Yeah, you probably got the green light on that for at least a few days. I think Friday there's some precip coming in.
There's some precip?
Yeah, kids are calling it precip.
So should I not park on the roof and I'll come back to a dusty car?
Yeah, don't park on the roof.
But then it's like $6 extra bucks a day to not park on the roof.
I don't know the weather in New York City.
No. I'm not driving.
Oh, the airport.
I'm talking about the airport. Yeah. Sorry. Isn't it like it? I think it's like $6 less dollars to park on the roof.
Park on the roof.
I always park on the roof, but then I come back and then it's just it is rained. There's the frost and the whatever, and it clears off, and then all of a sudden, the wind and all the dust from all the construction at our lovely downtown airport. I just got a fresh car wash. Maybe I want to keep it inside. I don't know. Got decisions to make. Black Cat says park at the shuttle lot. So my parents are going away for a more extended period of time, and they're like, we're gonna do the shuttle. And I'm like, whoa, I don't got time for that. I show up to the airport. I get across the walkway, and I'm getting on that thing.
Connor's not doing the 2-hour thing.
I'm not. Sorry.
I respect it. I'm too scared to do it myself. I want to be that guy.
Yeah, like
I can't.
I've worked it. If I'm in a different city, you don't know what you're going to run into.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Like if you're in a different city and you like maybe it's a high security line or something like that, like you have to plan for that a little bit. But if you're going just in Omaha, you can pretty much know what time you leave the house to what time you're going to get to the airport to what time you're going to get on the plane and then what time you go.
Know before you go.
Anyway. Josh, it's time for the odd news. What do we have?
It is, Connor. We need to talk about, I know you briefly discussed it in the crossover yesterday afternoon. We need to talk about these Major League Baseball hats.
Do we? Now are these hats that these are not hats that will be worn?
No, they're fashion hats, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
To pull the curtain back maybe a little too far. Had we talked to Allan Bell, I would have loaded in images for the Zone TV audience to look at as we talk about this story.
Josh loves to work while working.
Yeah. Hey, why doesn't Josh ask any questions of the guests? Well, I'm usually doing something.
Josh, here's a reminder. If you ever have any questions, you fire away.
I understand it would be helpful for you.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying that you have the green light.
Okay.
All right.
That is important.
You have the green light if you ever want to. Just so that's said out loud.
Good to know.
So what do the hats look like?
Well, it is the team. We all understand at this point in 2025 what a word mark logo is. Yes.
Yes.
It is the stylized logo of the team's name written out. And then in front of that is the team's main primary logo. Now, they are not blended together in any way. It is the primary logo on top of the word mark logo. So in the instance of like the Texas Rangers, you have Texas written out with a big T in the middle in front of it. So the hat says Titas.
Oh, no. Josh.
The Houston Astros. Yes, that is it. Thank you. I will point you to the Astros.
You were trying to get me to do this without asking.
Well, no. I genuinely was going to do it when we talked to Allan. The Astros hat, if you'll look at it in the left column there, it says Astros with a big H in front of it. So it says Ash Hose.
That's not good.
Which one article I read, I didn't have time to dig into this, is a not a great word to say in Spanish.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Angels hat right next to the Astros hat there. It says a word that I can't say on the radio.
Anals!
No, the annals of time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Marlins hat in the second column, fourth row there. MMMI as the Marlins primary logo is over the I and A in Miami. Right. So the hat just says me.
How about the Royals? Actually, the Yankees one kind of works out, doesn't it?
A little bit.
YNYKES. Yeah. The Yankees. This is so stupid.
The Red Sox hat says Boban.
I am not mad at these hats. I just don't understand why anyone would wear them.
Mm-hmm.
Never been mad at a hat before. Can't understand why anybody would ever be mad at a hat.
I believe the Astros and Rangers have pulled these from their stores online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they are not. I bet a bunch of people ordered them yesterday just for the joke of it,
Definitely.
Right? And they were like, well, we're not going to distribute this. We'll give you your money back. Dang. These are really bad.
Yeah.
Those are bad hats, my friend.
I think if you were in a boardroom talking this out before you saw a prototype, I guess the idea is solid enough.
No.
What for all the different BS hats they have for baseball teams?
No, just put different colors on the hats. Like, do what they do with the spring training hats and just make them,
those are fine.
Put some patches on the side and put them in alternate team colors or whatever. Like, they're bad, but they're unique and they're kind of one-offs. And, they do different ones every year. Last year they had like the mesh, like trucker hats. Those were okay. Alternative logos, whatever. This is just two things combined into one and that don't belong together. It's nonsensical.
As if you'll throw that back up real quick, I don't know if you can or
I apologize.
not. Sindelar points out in the bottom left corner, the Arizona Diamondbacks hat. It says Arizona, and on top of it is the Diamondbacks A that we're all accustomed to. The hat says
Ariana. No kidding.
The possibilities are amazing.
The Pastres.
Yeah.
Sounds like a combination of Padres and pasta.
I love pasta.
Sounds cool.
We go to where the hell are we going?
Great question, Josh.
Someplace in the Northeast. In 81, New Jersey. That's right.
Keep in mind, everything you do, I'm responsible for.
That's right. I know. I'm trying to do good for you.
I'm the boss.
That's right. People are saying 81-year-old woman going through boxes of her mother's belongings made a surprising discovery. An overdue library book. 99 years past due.
Classic.
Mary Cooper of Berkeley Township said she was going through a box that belonged to her mother when she came across the book Homemade Toys for Girls and Boys and discovered it had been borrowed from the Ocean County Library in March
which
of
she probably
1926.
got for free because that's how libraries work.
Yes,
I'm
that's right.
told.
That's right.
But since it's 99 years late, I imagine there will be a fee attached to it.
Well, we will get to that. Cooper learned her grandfather, Charles Tilton, had been the one to check out the book. I thought, I don't have grandchildren. My kids are getting older. Even if my son took it, I don't know what they do with it. So I brought it back to the library. Conveniently enough, the library system there in Ocean County is celebrating its 100th anniversary. Librarians said the facility no longer imposes late fees, similar to that of the Omaha Public Library. They do not impose late fees anymore, but they did the math on it just for S's and G's, as the kids say. $18,000 it would have cost.
So what is that math derived from? What's the fee?
I guess I don't know. It would have
something
changed
a day?
over the
Is it
years.
something a week?
I mean, back in my day, I think it used to be like a nickel a day.
A nickel?
A nickel a day.
Yeah. What was the Blockbuster late fee? Did they charge you on that one?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I remember always being pretty stringent about my Blockbuster stuff.
Yeah.
Because
they're gonna call. They're gonna call.
Well, and then when we would go back, like I would always want to be the person who put the tape inside of the hole.
Yeah.
So that was always fun for me. I suppose I could have got that in a library, but I never really went to a library as a kid. So I don't remember being like chastised by Blockbuster to like, hey, this is super late. You got to bring this back. I don't remember that ever being a part of.
Well, I was
my
there.
Blockbuster
I was there
experience.
so often that it was like, well,
Yeah, you
they're not
just
going to let
bring
me.
the other
They're
ones
not going
back.
to let me take anything unless I give them the old thing
So
back.
you would do a rent on top of a rent. You would be like Venn diagramming your rents.
Yeah, I think
Right.
at,
So like
at that point,
one you rent one tape and you get it for 5 days, but you come back on day 2
Mhm.
and you've probably already watched tape 1, and so
Yeah.
you return it even though you had 4 days left. Or would
Mhm.
you keep it and then return day 1 on day 3, have day 2 still, get to day 3?
I really try to be hey, someone else is waiting on this. I can speed the line up if I don't take the whole 5 days. I have the 5 days. I can use the
Interesting.
whole 5 days, but there are other people waiting on this tape.
Interesting thought process.
There are other people waiting on this book.
Interesting thought process.
And then oh my gosh, and then they put the release schedule up on the chart behind the counter. Oh, that was a game changer. It's like, you mean if I come here after school on Tuesday, you'll have the tape and it'll be like 3 PM on a Tuesday. No one's fighting me for this.
Wow.
Game changer.
All right.
We end the odd news today in London. Foggy
Sound like
London.
you're from London.
The owner of a London comedy club announces he is banning audience members with Botox injections after performers complained about unresponsive faces in the crowd. Mark Rothman.
That's funny.
It is.
That's a funny headline.
It is. Mark Rothman, owner of the Top Secret Comedy Club, said the business's 2 venues have decided not to allow patrons with Botox injections to be in the audience for comedy shows. Something that I don't know is enforceable. But he says in a quote, I've had numerous complaints from performers who find it increasingly challenging to gauge audience engagement. Comedy thrives on connection, and facial expressions play a huge part. We want people to laugh, cry, frown, sneer, but frozen faces from Botox impact the entire atmosphere. Rothman said audience members will be submitted to an expression check at the front door to ensure their faces are able to move before being admitted. We're hoping,
damn right.
We hope trialing this ban will help move the needle, pun intended, and get facial reactions back into the room for the benefit of our comedians and the audience.
Lay down the law, baby.
Now, did he try asking the comedians to just be funnier? Hey, they'll laugh. Like it's an laughter is an involuntary reaction.
Maybe they're saying that the Botox has prevented the people from laughing.
Well, yeah, it has, but it is not like just be funnier and they'll laugh.
I don't know. I like this move.
You like this move?
I love it. Love the move. We got to
Oh.
help out those comedians.
Yes, in these desperate times.
We must help out the comedians.
Okay. I think we're going to agree to disagree on this one.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is it for the odd news. We are coming back with the noon hour. We'll get to some of the things that Matt Rule had to say. Also, some a change in the world of planes. All to come on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Noon hour of the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hudson with you. Got some math here from listener R.
Hi, R.
On Twitter regarding the late library fees.
Okay.
R says, I'll read it to you how it's written.
All right.
You tell me if you see any problems with this. $18,000 equals $2 a day for over 99 years.
No.
That is not.
No.
I saw this and I'm like, 9 and 18. Okay. But I have no idea what this person is talking about.
I have.
So in order to do the math to $2 a day, which it's clearly, obviously not.
I have the actual answer.
If you did $2 a day, be 365 days a year times 2 days, or times $2 to get $730 times 99 for 99 years. That gets you to over $72,000, which is not $18,000.
There are 36,160 days in 99 years. It comes to essentially 50 cents a day.
50 cents a day. There you go. Maybe you weren't billed on Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
One of those years. Or maybe you were billed double on Christmas or something like that. Okay, so just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page from a math perspective on this show. Matt Rule doing his spring. This is the pre-spring press conference, by the way. This was the pre-spring press conference. Now, Nebraska will take they will not practice this week, nor will they practice next week because it is spring break over at UNL.
They just went back to school after winter break.
That's not true. It's March 11th, Josh.
Yeah, they started school after Christmas on like February 1st.
Yeah, but they've been working real hard for 5 weeks. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Bet you other countries go to school more.
I know what you're talking about. All right, so they don't go to school, and yet again, they are not going to school. So Nebraska will not have
school. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't go to the facility.
They will not have a weird week where they take off for spring break during spring ball. They'll just do spring ball after spring break. Injury notes. Here are the people who will not participate in spring ball. Demetrius Bell, Jameer Khan, Connor Keneally, Turner Corcoran, Jalen George.
Yeah, Turner Corcoran's taking spring off.
Gunnar Gatula. Jeez, is Nebraska going to have any offensive linemen in the spring ball? Roger Gradney, Mac Markaway, Dawson Merritt, Pierce Mooberry, Carter Nelson, Keelan Smith, Evan Taylor. Limited in spring ball, Mr. Unlimited, Tristan Alvano, David Borchers, Sua Lefotu, Henry Lutovsky, Teddy Prohaska. So how many offensive linemen did I name on that list? There's 4 people total, I think, right? Corcoran, Gatsula, Lutovsky, Prohaska. And those are not the Beatles. Those are 4 offensive linemen. And so Nebraska's going to be a little light on offensive linemen for the spring. But they are bringing in a couple transfers, as we will know about. They'll go from there. I don't know how much, we'll get to a lot of the stuff tomorrow that Rule had to say, unless people have, more extreme takes on the whole Dylan Raiola weight situation.
I really thought it would become a bigger thing. Now, don't get me wrong, it's noon.
Yeah, I just don't know that people are like, maybe we're just not engaging in the conversation, or I have really felt, I don't want to make this about this, but I've just really felt that people are, you know, a lot less willing these days to follow the day-to-day minutia. I think people have just really gotten to the point of like, all right, whatever. Is it you hire a GM? Great. Bring in a good wide receiver. You know, the quarterback is fat. Whatever. Bring in a new elevate the defensive coordinator, bring in a new offensive coordinator, get a special teams coordinator. I think people are just like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Can you win?
Okay. Yeah.
Can you win like 8 or 9 games? And we won't know the answer to a lot of these things until now there's a lot of important stuff that's happening right now. Like I think Nebraska, you know, the chief deal here is, you know, how, you know, I always say that Nebraska needs to be a place where they're better than the sum of their parts. And I think everybody would agree with that. I think Rule would agree with that. And they're not going to have the most talented team in college football. There's some stuff that they could do to, you know, they want to recruit good players and they want to find diamonds in the roughs and they want to play. They want to pay really good players and they have a lot of resources at their fingertips to be able to be competitive in those areas. But I still think when it's all said and done, Nebraska needs to be a place where, you know, you have a bunch of good players, but you need to make up for what you lack in the category of chemistry, in the category of continuity, in you know, discipline and focus, and like the stuff that just can't really be tracked by athleticism or how many reps you do on the bench or what your 40 time is, you know, like stuff that is just kind of incalculable. So Nebraska needs to be really good and airtight in those areas. And they're coming from a time in a program where they haven't really been, they haven't been great in those areas. Frankly, they just have not been very good in those areas. And you had last year where it was so senior laden, as we talked about earlier in the show. There was a lot of older guys on the team. There's a couple ways that you could sort of parse through that. All right, those guys aren't back, and so there's a fresh sort of air about this thing right now, I think. And you can, you know, the leadership dynamic is new and different, and that's a good thing for this program that doesn't have as much of a stench on it as you know, it's just every day that goes on, it gets less smelly, I guess, from whatever it might have been before, the Scott Frost era or the Mike Riley era or the era of losing or whatever you'd like to call it. Like you could look at it that way, or you could look at it, hey, as it's going to be really hard. Nebraska's in a place, you know, where they need to get old and they need to stay old, and that's where they have to make up their ground. And they don't have a roster right now that necessarily says, look at us, we have the most experience in the world. They tried to supplement a lot of that in the transfer portal. What's their core? What's the core? Who leads the core? Is it Dylan Raiola? And that's where the Dylan Raiola, like leadership and frankly, the weight stuff, whatever, like that stuff comes up. Like he needs to be,
follow my lead, everybody. Hop on.
Yeah, but
I'll take you there.
He needs to be, I think first he probably needs to become the person that people will follow.
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, he can't be, and you sense a little bit of this. Like he is, I don't know that he's treated different inside of the walls, but he stands out amongst everybody else, right? He's the 5-star quarterback. His last name is Raiola. He is the quarterback in general. So like there's a balance between wanting your quarterback and needing your quarterback to be, you know, relatable and having these leadership tendencies and stuff like this, and also understanding that he is kind of the face of the program and the speaker. Like, is that a guy that you feel comfortable in being the face of the program? Like you have to become that guy before you can start saying, all right, everybody jump on my back and let's go. Is there anything like from what I saw last year, I don't know that he's in the position right now to be like, all right, everybody, I'm going to drag you to wherever we're going this year. Hop on. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I that's from a play standpoint. That's from a play standpoint. You can make up for a lot of it in the leadership category and how you interact with people in the locker room and all that stuff. But like it's hard for me to see, like, I shouldn't say this, but like is everybody going to really rally around him? That's kind of what needs to happen. But is he the kind of guy that makes sense for? If you kind of try, if you
he
kind of
seems to be a guy people like to hang out with. Now, if that guy asks you to do a couple more reps than you're willing to do, what happens then?
Sure. Yeah.
Just from my complete outsider's perspective.
RDJ fan writes in.
Hi, RDJ fan.
Raiola to left tackle.
I feel like he might have some household expertise.
Think about that. Offensive line of, you could really move Elijah Pritchett over to right tackle, and you got Spindler in there, and you feel good about Justin Evans at center, and you duke it out at left guard, and you got Raiola at left tackle. Bang. Done.
Real plug and play guy.
Or maybe you put Raiola at center, given his father's track record.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. Yeah. I don't know. It's absolutely something to watch, but it's just so hard, I think, to know how it's going to go until you actually play the games or hear how it's gone over a long period of time. Which maybe today's a window into that, but maybe you come back from the summer and into the fall and listen to how guys talk about him. Like when they talk about Dylan Raiola, Rule says, hey, he's here and he's working and stuff like that. Like when I hear players talking about Dylan Raiola, it's mostly about how talented he is. And that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely not a bad thing.
You're going to want that.
But I think what they're looking for is for it to be a little bit more like, hey, that guy has a true understanding of how to get bleep done and how to win, I don't know. That's not the context in which I hear him being talked about right now. But we'll see. And how much does the offense, being different, change that? Like, Rule said, I'm reading the notes from Husker Online right now. Rule said Dana Holgorsen has helped simplify the offense and find an identity based on Nebraska's strengths and weaknesses. He said Holgorsen was a, quote, unifying force who worked with every player and coach rather than being off on his own island.
Was the last OC off on his own island?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea.
You really just got to get everyone in the same place before you can, like, hey, we all need to be in the same room together. We all need to be talking and working out together before we can dole out, hey, who does what? Who's going to do what? Who's going to be the leader?
I think you want it to be the quarterback.
You would like it.
I think you want it to be the quarterback. So I don't know. We'll see how that conversation evolves throughout the spring and into the summer. And like I said, we'll get to a lot of the Rule stuff. God, it is so hot in here. We'll get to a lot of the Rule stuff tomorrow on the show. I haven't had a chance really to parse through the quotes yet as they were happening while we were on air. Speaking of quotes, here's one from last night. Fred Hoiberg.
Oh, what's this guy got to say?
Well, you tell me.
Okay.
He says, I promise you this, Husker Nation. We are going to do everything we can to get this back to where we are in the tournament, and we are going to be there consistently. This place means the world to me. I absolutely love it. I'm passionate about it. We've got staff right now that are out on the road recruiting, and once the portal opens up, obviously we're going to be active in it. We're going to put a team on the court that's going to fit the values of Husker fans, I think he said. I think this team it was a hard-working team. We just did not close out games the way we needed to. We're going to do everything in our power to get this thing right and get a consistent winner on the court. I said earlier I think Hoiberg played a little game of two truths and a lie there. He constantly was calling out his team this year. It's not because they weren't working hard. I'm sure they were working hard in practice, but like the stuff that we saw in the games, it just left a lot to be desired. And it wasn't because that we expect there to be a higher level of talent on the basketball team. Obviously, you should always strive for better players and stuff like that. It's people can watch it and they can easily tell, well, these guys just aren't all the way where they need to be from a focus level, for an urgency level, for an intensity level. Like they weren't, they weren't getting the most out of what they got this year. And so I could sort of hear him saying, hey, we're going to put a team on the court that's going to fit the values. And then he said, well, I think this team was. Like, I don't know.
To the fans and everybody in Husker Nation, I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry. We were hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal, something Nebraska has never done here. I promise you one thing. A lot of good will come out of this. You will never see any coach in the entire country coach as hard as I will coach for the rest of my life. You will never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody next season. You will never see
this is not a Tebow speech.
You will never see a team. Thank you for realizing what I was doing. It was really important. You will never see a team play harder than we will the rest of next season. God bless Coach Fred Hoiberg on radio yesterday. Little late to be doing that.
We don't have to be mad. We don't have to be mad at Fred.
I think
he's going to go on the radio and he's going to say, because the question is, how do you unpack it, right? Like, what was this season, and how do we adjust from it? It went sideways with and what he says is one thing, but what happens in the offseason is another. How do you approach it from, a talent perspective and the players that you're able to go out and get, and then how do you make it so how do you make it so the chemistry doesn't fall off the way it did, and how do you get the team to be sort of focused and together and whatever it might be. Those are the things that they're going to have to get to work on in the offseason. You're never going to find out the answer to it on March 11th, one day after they were eliminated from the Big Ten tournament. I didn't read that and I was like, I didn't read that and roll my eyes from Fred Hoiberg. Maybe I should have, but that was not my reaction to what I heard from Fred Hoiberg yesterday.
I imagine there's some things he can't tell us.
Absolutely.
That if he could, would explain a whole lot more of what happened.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so too. And so they just have to go out and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to go out and get better. And that's what they're going to try to do. I appreciate him like doubling down on the fact that he has, because that is one thing that kind of gets consistently brought up here. Like the context in which he was brought to Nebraska was kind of like, we're lucky to have him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when you come in with that context, there's always, and there has always been this thing from people like, oh, Fred's fine. He could retire tomorrow and then go to where he's going to go and never think about this again and be the happiest person on planet Earth. People say that about him all the time. I don't think that's the right characterization we've now seen over and over and over again from Fred. Like, he might seem like a really easygoing guy and or he's doing this out of some sort of a charity to Nebraska or his grandfather or something like that. Like that I don't think it doesn't come off that way to me, but like I said, that's the context and how he came to Nebraska. It doesn't seem like that's happening, but to hear him say like, no, you guys have got it all wrong. I love this place and I have a burning passion and desire to make this thing really good. We just have to figure it out. That is a lot of it. Like, that doesn't give you everything. That doesn't give you everything. But specifically for Fred and the way that people talk about him sometimes, like I said, the context in which he was brought here, I feel like it's a really important thing to say out loud. Like, I feel like it's a really important thing for him to be like, yep, I hate what just happened so much that I feel indebted to you all to get this thing figured out, because the passion for the team right now does not reciprocate the passion in the locker room. And that is on me. And I hate that. I'm apologizing to you all right now. Like that's I guess the subtext of what he said yesterday.
If he didn't want to be here, he would have left when the heart stuff happened, right? You would have just,
well, I mean, that was already existent.
You could say that though, right? Like you'd be like, well, I don't know if this is the best for my health. Like here's a very convenient exit ramp, right? Like,
I mean, he could have left after year 3.
Yeah,
when
things changed.
Yeah, and
organizationally,
his job, changed a little bit in terms of But he doubled down and was like, okay, whatever I got to do, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. If we got to change this gritty, grimy, like whatever kind of team, we're gonna find a way to make it work. We're gonna make it work for us. And keep in mind that too, like that's a little bit foreign to him. It's a little bit different. I think he's still figuring that out. It does take time. But like his passion for it is really important, and the people that he puts around him is really important. And so I'm interested to see what kind of changes happen this offseason in that category as well.
I lost my train of thought. I was reading an email.
Okay.
Good contribution by me.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Sal writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Sal.
I should have said we weren't good enough this year and left it at that. Nah, man. Like I like to hear that there is an understanding. There's an understanding from the coaching staff, because a lot of times you could get in the bubble, and it's. I mean, we talked about it yesterday on the show, how, like the idea of sort of entitlement, right? Like you're in the bubble all the time, and you're thinking like, well, we got the support. It's great. It's always going to be there. We have all the time in the world, and yeah, we're going to figure it out. We want to figure it out, but like, what kind of pressure is on me? You have to be driven from that, from like within. And he is. And so it's good to hear him not be in the bubble and say, our fan base deserves more than what they got, than how it turned out this year. He didn't say that exactly, but that's sort of the idea. And I like when coaches say stuff like that. It is understanding of the complete picture of what they're dealing with at Nebraska. And I think that's really important to see the whole deal. All right. We have plenty to come here on the Connor Happer Show. Jacob Bigelow will join us at the top of the hour. Of course, before we take a break here, I'd like to tell you about 1620, the watch party, where you can get a VIP table at Prairie Flower Casino Sky Bar and Grill to watch the Friday games at the big tournament on multiple big screens. That's right. You and a party of 9 others, or less, I suppose. Like if you want to bring,
Yeah. Hey, if it's just me and 4 friends,
if you can only get
that's
6
more
together, right? But
budget.
keep in mind though, you're gonna want to feed a lot of people, because we're throwing in a $400 restaurant tab for you as well to use the Prairie Flower Casino Sky Bar and Grill. So enter in for 1620, the watch party, where you could win a VIP table at the casino at Prairie Flower on Friday, March 21st. Enter right now through this Sunday on our website, 1620thezone.com. The Andy Katz all transfer team features the following people.
Hit me.
JT Toppin from Texas Tech, PJ Haggerty from Memphis, Milo Suzan from Houston, John Tonje from Wisconsin, and Chucky Hepburn from Louisville.
Oh, no.
Another classic Central versus Bellevue West game has broken out.
Can you think of any others?
I can. Remember Josh Jones and Antoine Young?
I do remember both of those people.
Yeah. Those guys didn't transfer, though. They stayed, and they both played at Creighton.
Stuck it out.
Yep. You're about to see there's some players on K-State's roster tonight for baseball who are from from Omaha or Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. These guys are all around the country at this point. It's at some point it became kind of normal. It's kind of normal now, right? There's still a frustration, I think, from people who are like, man, these guys are really good. Like the top of we're talking about the top of high major conferences in college basketball. And obviously there's a frustration there that they're not playing inside the borders of the state. But there's just so many of them now where you're just like, man, it almost doesn't really hit me that hard anymore.
Oh my gosh, Connor, this just keeps going.
What?
This K-State baseball roster.
Oh, I know. There's 100 of them.
4. I'm at 4 right now.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Vasco from Lincoln East is, he's been one of their, he's had a great start to his career. They had a guy
4 from the Omaha Lincoln area.
They had a guy who hit a home run in his first collegiate hit the other day. Ty Smolinski. I think he's a Millard West guy.
Yeah, had a couple of those.
So yeah. There is
Ty Rule.
There's a bunch of them. But once again, just kind of like, yeah, well, it happens.
Can't get them all.
I guess. But can you get any of them?
There are 2 ties from the Omaha Bellevue area on the K-State baseball team.
Josh, let's take a look back in the time machine.
Okay.
5 years ago. So 5 years ago at this exact moment, was 1:34 Eastern time. We were 15 minutes away from the Columbus Blue Jackets closing their home games to fans. This was the news was a little lighter in the earlier portions of the day. Okay. The heavier stuff started coming at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening.
Tonight is the night.
Tonight is the night.
Like,
yep.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the best Twitter nights of all time.
So just like throughout the day, it was various organizations around the country would be like, yeah, we're not going to let any fans into our games anymore. And you're like, oh man, what's going to happen? Then at 3:15 Central Time, the NCAA advised against holding sporting events with fans. Advised against. You're like, oh, what's going on? Then at 3:30, 15 minutes later, the NCAA said that the NCAA tournament will be played, but it will not have fans. Of course, that didn't end up happening at all, as we learned just a couple days later, 1 or 2 days later, I think, right? The NCAA went from, yeah, we're going to try and do this, but we're not going to have fans, and no, we're not going to do it. Like, within the span of 48 hours. Michigan canceled its spring game at 4:24 that afternoon.
Now nobody plays a spring game.
Maryland closes its athletic events to fans at 5:19 p.m. The Big Ten closed their men's basketball tournament and all spring sports to fans at 5:38 in the afternoon. Moments later, the Big 12 limited its men's basketball tournament to only teams, 125 tickets, and no cheerleaders. We're like, whoa, what are these events going to look like? This is going to be ridiculous.
How does this work?
Ryan Day at just shy of 7 o'clock announced that Ohio State was not going to be recruiting anymore. They were just going to shut down their whole operation. Then the big stuff started to happen. 7:40 Central, Jazz Thunder game postponed. An NBA game canceled in the middle of the game.
And that's when it ratcheted up.
Ohio State cancels spring game. Pac-12 closes men's basketball tournament to Vegas to fans. President Trump announces Europe travel ban. And this is when it really started. 8:06 p.m. Central Time. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson say that they tested positive for the coronavirus.
That was the one.
Moments later, Rudy Gobert reportedly tests positive for coronavirus. This was one day after he went up to all the microphones and started touching them jokingly. He's like, is this funny? And everybody laughed. Everybody's like, this is hilarious. It's so funny. Moments later, the NBA season entirely was put on hold. March 11th, 2020.
I remember Mark Cuban.
Yes.
Was there a high-profile Mavericks game?
Somebody ran out onto the floor in an NBA game. It was like, stop the game! Stop the game! 9:40 p.m. Nebraska head coach Fred Hoiberg taken to hospital.
Well, that was the flu. Influenza.
Of course, later that night, it was announced that Fred Hoiberg had influenza A. But what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive indeed. Those were just a few of the things that happened on March 11th, 2020. A day that will live in infamy, Josh.
Just remember Twitter was lit that night. Like, oh my gosh.
Bad place.
They're doing this over here. They're doing this over here. What there NBA on ESPN was like, hey, we're minutes away from tip-off here. I come back to Dallas. Like, I don't know if a Mavericks game was on TV or supposed to be on TV that night or whatever, but I'm like, we're minutes away from tip-off in Dallas. And, nope, we're not tipping off.
It was almost like I didn't know what to do with it at the time. It was almost like there was so much of a shock factor to all the things that were happening that there was almost like a lightheartedness to all of it, but nobody really knew what was,
because it wasn't quote unquote real yet. Like it was still this like, oh, that's happening in Tom Hanks is in Australia.
But then when they started to shut down, they started to cancel. I mean, really, when it hit me, I think was like they started to cancel major sporting events, not individual games for that night. It's like, we might be back in a couple weeks, whatever. Put it on hold, stop the spread, that whole thing. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll get this thing taken care of. I mean, it's crazy, but it'll put a momentary hold on our lives. But then I remember that day or maybe the next day, they were like, we're going to cancel the whole College World Series. It's in June. It was March. The College World Series is canceled. I'm like, what?
That's very far away.
It's like, you don't think we'll be okay? We'll be okay by June, right? Like, nope. The NBA Finals happened in a bubble.
People forget. Remember Jimmy Butler? He was very tired.
The people were watching via Zoom in the stands. And
remember that guy went out and got those chicken wings?
Things like that. Yeah, I mean, that it was a wild time. So that was it all began 5 years ago tonight. Speaking of which, well, I guess this isn't really speaking of which, but wanted to talk about it for a second. Southwest Airlines. They've announced some changes.
Some COVID restrictions?
No, it's not about COVID.
Okay.
It's not about COVID. They're basically changing everything that makes the airline important to the common flyer.
People like Southwest because you can pick your own seat when you get there, right?
I think it's more of the free bags.
Okay.
I think it's more of the free bags. And it's relatively cheap.
Bags fly free.
Bags fly free.
That's what they say.
Relatively cheap rates.
Mm-hmm.
So
they'll get you there.
These are things that are going away in the near future. Phase 1 of Southwest changes are going into effect.
Now they're the
starting
airline with
this month
with the computers that don't work, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 3 days a year where the whole system will just go kaput, kaplooey, whatever you want to call it. It'll just conk out for a couple days. If you just happen to be traveling on any 3 of those days, you're gonna have a really, really bad time. But
And
you
we
just
got to
hope,
drag Pete Buttigieg on the talk shows, and
but you just hope that
will this ever happen again?
it's the price that you pay for flying for
$49.
$78 round trip to,
of course,
to Chicago or something like that. And,
most people understand that, right?
well, these things are going away. What will this mean to the airline business? Who knows? I know I love flying Southwest because they have a lot of flights out of Omaha, and they have a lot of flights to places where I want to go, like Chicago, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. Those are the places that I want to go.
I love Phoenix.
Directly.
Underrated town.
So I don't know what's going to happen here, but more people are going to be flying Delta now, I guess, out of Omaha. Who knows? But just if you're a Southwest flyer, just understand that these changes are coming. Be prepared. John emails in. He says, I'm a Delta Sky Miles guy, and I never pay for a bag.
Oh.
Yeah, but you've been working on the Delta Sky Miles thing for years and years and years to get to the point where you're at right now, and you don't have to get charged for bags.
Yeah, what about...
People have to, we got to do a whole new thing.
What about my kid? And he'd like, oh, no, I don't want to put my dinosaur bag on the plane. No, you got to put your dinosaur bag in the plane. No, it's my bag. He's 6. He doesn't understand.
It's coming.
I'm not paying $50.
There you go. Changes are coming. A look back and a look forward there. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
Hey everyone, it's Josh Peterson. Join Mike Schaefer and me Thursday for Unsportsmanlike Conduct live at Prairie Flower Casino in Carter Lake. We'll be watching all the basketball following the conference tourneys and getting ready for the tournament. Thursday, 2 to 6 live from Prairie Flower Casino in Carter Lake.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Man, we got so much stuff going on right now at 1620 The Zone. Variety of contests for you to enter. We're also asking for a little bit of your help as well. You scratch our backs, we scratch yours.
Oh, okay.
So we are putting together the Omaha Food Fight presented by Union Bank and Trust. And we just need just name restaurants at 1620thezone.com.
That's literally all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. Name restaurants, name your favorite restaurant, just name a restaurant. Put it at local restaurant, put it at 1620thezone.com. And we are going to compile that into a bracket, and then you all will vote on it after that. So we need your nominations through Thursday of this week at 1620thezone.com, and then we'll put the bracket out on Monday.
Tick-tock, tick-tock,
and
tick-tock,
we will we'll let it fly from there. That is the Omaha Food Fight 2025 presented by Union Bank and Trust. Josh, I saw a headline that really grabbed my attention yesterday.
Well, that is the purpose of a headline. So.
Yeah, but maybe it's too much of the purpose of the headline in this case. Maybe the purpose of the headline is more impactful than the actual contents of the story.
Usually
in that case, they call it clickbait. As you know, clickbait, Josh.
I've never clickbaited.
And guess what? I've been baited.
You did agree with Michael Wilbon that one time.
Hook, line, and sinker by guess who? Sean Keeler of the Denver Post. He got me again.
Obviously.
He always does this. Here's what the headline says. What's Deion Sanders worth to CU Buffs? About $100 million annually by 2030, expert says. Subheadline, Coach Prime makes Buffs more attractive for college football Super League than rival Nebraska Cornhuskers,
whoa.
according to the Collegiate Sports Management Group. Some people still know how business is done. And so I clicked.
Poll question up at Happer Show. Does Sean Keeler always do this?
Always does this. He's always writing about Nebraska.
Inadvertently.
Don't think it's by mistake, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Don't think it's a mistake. I think it's pretty well thought out. Well, mildly well thought out. According to the site, the sportsmediawatch.com, every Buffs game last fall ranked among the top 10 in ratings nationally during that given week, which is why these experts on the industry that Sean spoke to would take Deion's Buffs in a college football Super 40 over, say, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Sea of Red, sellouts, and Dr. Tom be darned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's not accidental.
Quote, I don't know if there's anyone in this world who's like Deion, one of the experts said. Is this just a flash in the pan? I think that's the major question mark. If and when he does move on, does the attention that accompanies it also move on as well? Yes, because a school such as Nebraska that has a very ardent fan base, that has what you're asking for in terms of benchmarks to be considered for a Super League, maybe networks would consider it. But also, the Huskers don't have the recent history on the field to justify an inclusion into a field like that. These are what the experts are saying. To be honest with you, I haven't given much thought to, like, if we moved to a Super League and it became, the top 40, whatever metric you want to use. Mm-hmm. Like, is it earners? Is it cash flow? Is it like what you have in your athletic department? Is it go off of winning? How much of a component is winning? Mostly the figure I think that we could sort of draw from is television ratings. values, right? What's your value to the conference that you're in based on how many people are watching it? And the reason that I haven't thought about whether or not Nebraska would be included in this conversation is because they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people like to play I don't know. It's scary, right? Because Nebraska hasn't won a lot of games. But I think most people are very, very willing and understanding, whether it be right or wrong, the value that Nebraska brings to the table if they are winning. The automatic value that Nebraska brings to the table if they are winning. It is not contingent on that, clearly. And it's definitely not contingent on one person. It's definitely not contingent on a coach. It's not contingent on who your quarterback is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a set in stone. We are one of the brands, blue bloods, whatever you want to call it, of college football. That doesn't change overnight. That doesn't change because you've lost a whole bunch of games. That doesn't change because you lost to Colorado a couple times in however many years or whatever it might be. Like, I don't know, man. Like, experts be damned. This is College Sports Management Group COO Ray Katz was one of the people answering questions here from Keeler about Colorado's value and Deion's value altogether. Like, I don't know. I just don't think you're looking, if you're really thinking about this and you're trying to piece together a league or a super league or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think you're like,
ooh, Colorado.
No, because you have to think about it that way. Because you know damn well that Deion Sanders could just get up and leave. And at some point, whether it's in the immediate future or in the next to immediate future or way, way, way down the line, it's going to happen. Theoretically, you're setting yourself up for the next X amount of years, 100 years, 50 years, whatever it is, of college football. And I would think that if you're an expert in that field, you'd have a pretty good understanding of the things that are just kind of true about the game. And I don't know. I feel like Nebraska's always going to be involved in that conversation, and thus I'm not particularly worried about it. But definitely Sean Keeler got me to click. That's for sure.
He's always doing this.
He's always getting me to click.
Yeah.
Jeff writes in, Colorado has no value beyond prime. I mean,
there's no jersey insurance for coaches.
Now people they go a little bit too far here. Like, Colorado's not a nothing brand,
right?
But you saw what happened when they weren't good, and when they didn't have Deion, and when they were lost in the abyss of the Pac-12. You know, there was the one year where they got to the conference title game, and I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting and fun story. 2016, I think that was. They got to the Pac-12 title game.
People forget.
Yeah, a lot of people do forget, to be honest with you. People just forgot about him. They were kind of just lost. Like, Nebraska, whatever conference they're in, I understand that it's been a struggle for them in the Big Ten here. Like, they don't really get lost in the shuffle. Or is that just me, like, speaking from the bubble? I can't remove myself from it physically. And no, people definitely don't think about Nebraska as much as they used to as like a national brand. But I think if people are looking at this, if you're looking at this from a what are you worth, what is your value situation, they understand that Nebraska is a bit of a sleeping giant at the moment.
We'll give you ratings no matter what.
I think so. That's kind of how it's been. So I read that and I thought, what's going on here? Yes, Deion Sanders is worth a lot to Colorado. A lot. Is he worth more than the years and years and history of tradition of winning and the fan base that sells out every game? I mean, like, if you wanted to go spin zone for what Nebraska's been over the last 10 years, the fact that their fan base still shows up and they still get great TV ratings and they haven't won anything over this period of time should be
Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah, you could really, really flip it and be like, yeah, we've been doing all this and we're not even doing anything from a success standpoint. That's how I would play it. If I'm pitching myself to a television network, if I'm pitching myself to an executive to try and get in whatever this next thing looks like.
You would absolutely go into that room, that private room, and say, look, the ratings will always be there, no matter what.
It's gonna you're gonna be okay.
They watch this team
and
three
and if
games.
you're selling yourself, and if you're giving the elevator pitch, it is look at what might happen if we win, if we're worth a damn. Yeah, that's always the sell. All right, we'll take a break. Come back. Jacob Bigelow will join us on the other side, and we'll talk. We'll unpack some Nebraska basketball a little bit with Jacob coming up on 1620 The Zone.
He's heating up.
That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you. Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire.
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620 The Zone.
Boom shakalaka.
I wonder if Jacob Bigelow will turn into the real life version of that meme where Homer Simpson comes out of the bushes and he's wearing a hat, and then he goes back into the bushes and he's wearing a different. Am I misremembering memes? Jacob Bigelow joins us now.
You're correct.
Get me started on my memes. I was going to say that you would go from Nebraska hat to Omaha hat as the big dance rolls around.
That's probably a fair assessment. Yeah. I mean, I got sent that meme a couple times the other day, but, I'll definitely be keeping close tabs on the Mavs wherever they head to dance.
Well, and you are known to, just spontaneously get in your car and drive places. So, I mean, I wouldn't take that off the table. Would you?
Oh, definitely not. That is kind of my bit, as is evidenced by some recent happenings. I am very committed to my bit. So that would be that is certainly on the table for a couple weeks from now. There's a couple drivable, first round cities, somewhere I'd have a place to crash and not have to pay any money. So it'd be, it's definitely on the table for sure.
Before we get to some of the bad stuff, how impressive, I should say, is Bryce Williams making the first team All Big Ten team with the way the season ended for Nebraska? Like you can kind of feel these things out, and sort of he feels like an all Big Ten first team guy, and it kind of felt that way for the majority of the season. But then to actually see it, and also given the context of how Nebraska's season played out, I feel like that was a pretty good token of respect from the conference to Bryce Williams.
Absolutely. Yeah. I kind of worried that he would end up getting coaches and not media because of how Nebraska's season ended, but he got both. I figured he'd be a sign of respect. He'd get it from the coaches at the very least, because anytime they had to play Nebraska, they had a game plan to stop him. And some of them got the brunt of Bryce Williams putting up pretty good numbers for a pretty good season. I think he's the third first team All Big Ten guy since Nebraska's been in the conference. It's Pettaway, Palmer, and Williams. That's the pretty decent trio of dudes who knew how to score the ball. But I was happy for Bryce to see that. Very well earned, very well deserved.
How excited are you potentially to? Well, I don't think you'll be able to drive to the Crown, but the Crown. The Crown will be there. I mean, there's going to be some opportunities for Nebraska in the Crown. I don't know what the roster is going to look like, but what's your excitement level for the potential Crown?
It's quite low, honestly, and it was already low, and then it got even lower when the point was made to me that the Crown tips off the day after the Elite Eight. It's not until almost the end of March.
That's right.
And the start date of that, if I was a coach and my conference contractually obligated me to go play in the Crown, I would be livid, because if you need to get started on the portal, get started on recruiting, roster construction, the whole 9 yards for next year. And I continue to realize that I think Fox is kind of just the worst, and a shameless money grab. Hey, there's less basketball on than there has been for the last 2 weeks. Here's some basketball involving 16 teams you all probably wanted to forget about, is about as shameless of a money grab as it could possibly get. And I'm not all that enthused for the Crown.
Okay, now to the rest of it. So in your best estimation, I guess, why did things end up the way that they ended up? Is there a common thread, not only in the games, but I guess as you saw it play out for Nebraska basketball, to go from 12-2, ending the day on January 4th, to ending the season 17-14 and no Big Ten tournament appearance? Like, why did it happen?
I mean, this is about as, coach speaky cliche as it could get, but it kind of felt like they were just out of juice. Especially this last 5-game stretch, rare. I mean, in that, they start 12-2, they finish 17-14. So they go 5-12 down the stretch, and 11 of those losses were in losing streaks. A 6-game losing streak and a 5-game losing streak. There was no intermittence to any of it. When it was down, it was down. And it kind of just felt like they were out of juice. They were out of gas. There was a team that was going to have to be greater than the sum of its parts. And I think it was in some of the bigger games that they won. And then in other games, the deficiencies of the roster and just the lack of just dudes were pretty evident. And in the end, it came back to play a big part in how the cookie crumbled to finish the season.
I mean, I think I get what you're saying, but like, they went on the 6-game losing streak right after, the what I mentioned, that date on January 4th where they were 12-2. And then they came back and then they won 4 games in a row and then, came back to lose 6 out of their last 7 of the regular season. Like, I don't know if it was in the bat. For me, it wasn't necessarily in like the basketball games. I don't know what else was going on with this team. It might be the missing component and something that we never really hear about, but something was missing with this group for the majority of the season. That maybe that's just playing the results on, and asking an unanswerable question. But I don't know what happened. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a laundry list of questions. I mean, they, to win in the Big Ten, you got to have. I mean, the thing with Nebraska is there just was not multiple ways for them to win games. You knew exactly what had to happen and what had to take place for them to win. There weren't many different ways to skin a cat.
Sure.
If Bryce Williams was not on his A game, it was probably a loss. When the other 6th-year senior Juwan Gary scored 20 points or more in Big Ten games, Nebraska was 1-6. You needed to have almost the perfect balance of Bryce and just enough 3-point shooting to get you there. And outside of a season whose end of season numbers are still perplexing after watching all those games up close and then seeing that he was knocking on the door of 40% from 3 for the year is still confusing to me. But I mean, there was just like I feel like Nebraska was a very easy team to scout. Like it was an easy scout. I don't think it was tough to prepare for. I don't think like they rarely went away from their defensive principles. They were very set in their ways on that end. And then offensively, if you took away Bryce Williams, you probably liked your chances.
What is the lesson learned from this? Like, what can they take from this to make it not happen again in 2025 and 6?
Yeah, I mean, the lesson. I mean, it starts with roster construction. It starts with the guys that you're targeting, the guys that you think. I mean, it's all. I mean, I don't want to sound like a coach, but I mean, it's all about fits, right? It's about fits, not just schematically, but culture fits. And the previous 2 seasons, they had hit on just about all of their portal gets, whether it was the Greasel year when they bring in him, Vanderbilt, and when they initially brought in Gary, or last season with Alec, Bryce, and Rank Mast. I mean, they had been hitting it pretty well in the portal, and then I don't know if there was anyone in this year's group that I'd call a for sure hit. Maybe a half a hit on a couple guys, but you could chalk that up to law of averages, saying they've had to miss eventually, or you could chalk that up to they missed on some guys, they ended up with these guys. There's a lot of different variables, but I think it starts with roster construction. I mean, you're gonna need depth. You're gonna need some legitimate dudes. I mean, there's a lot of lessons to learn. And if Fred Hoiberg's comments, last night on the network are any indication, they've already been thinking plenty about it.
Yeah, I think I was just talking about this a little bit earlier, but like I appreciate him reiterating. For whatever reason, it always comes up with him where he's like, people always say like, oh, well, he could just retire, and be okay. Like he doesn't need this. Like whenever you hear from Fred, that does not sound like the case. Like he's passionate about figuring this thing out, which I think is really great to hear. I know people hear it after coming off of a season in which you didn't make the Big Ten tournament and say, okay, whatever, like congratulations. But I feel like that's important with him, given how people talk about him all the time.
Oh, it absolutely is. And like, I'm not here to carry water for any head coaches, but I mean, I'll say this about Fred Hoiberg. I know when you hear him, you think mayor of Ames, you think Iowa State, you think his time there as a player or as a coach. But I mean, he's got a ton of Nebraska ties, man, and his family tree. He was born here, his grandfather, that whole deal, but so much of his family is here. He grew up, spending holidays in Lincoln. I mean, he's got a lot of ties to this place, and he's very, very passionate about not just Nebraska basketball, but being here, being in Lincoln. He's been pretty open about him wanting this to be his last coaching job. He's commitment to Nebraska should not be a question with Fred Hoiberg.
Jacob, so I know you were talking about this on Twitter over the weekend. So what is it about Dannon that makes him different from a basketball? Is there anything different about Troy Dannon that makes him different from a basketball perspective than his predecessors?
Well, I mean, it's not saying much, but I mean, the bar for basketball acumen compared to his predecessors isn't on the floor. It's about 6 feet underground. But the way that Dannon came up in Iowa, I mean, he got into working in sports as an athletic department intern at Northern Iowa. He gave an extension to Ben Jacobson after they made their Sweet 16 run all those years ago. He's made a couple hirings and firings in his time. He was the PA voice of Drake women's basketball for a season. He oversaw the Iowa, the IHSA. I forget what he was in charge of, but I know he was pretty involved in basketball. And I know that he's some of his closest friends in sports are basketball coaches, and he keeps a good network, and he's got basketball on the brain. They've shown the priority to football, the commitment to the head coach that's running that program. But I mean, I think compared to all the athletic directors since I've been alive at Nebraska, I think that he's got some acumen when it comes to hoops. I mean, he made one hire at Tulane that didn't go well. He made one hire at Tulane that's been pretty good. He fired Mike Hopkins last year at Washington, but he didn't stick around long enough to make that replacement. So he's dealt with hoops a little bit, and that's more than his predecessors.
So what do you think he sees when he watches when he watched what unfolded this year, given the rest of the context of Fred Hoiberg's time at Nebraska?
I mean, he's made it pretty clear with other sports that his job is to give coaches what they need to make the team the best it can be. And I think he is very much a coaches first AD. I don't think he's looking to, leave his legacy in the form of buildings. I think he's trying to do whatever he can to, help his head coaches and, do what they can to succeed. The question with basketball, as I proffered, is just how much. Like it's what is in the pecking order at Nebraska. You've got the football monster. No matter how much at times it may feel like you're trying to weekend at Bernie's, the football monster, and then you've got volleyball, and it's and that's what separates Nebraska from other athletic departments in the country. And basketball, it's always been, you can see how much the fans care. You can see how much support is there. You can see the arena. You can see the practice facility. You can see all of that. But it's always been about institutional buy-in, and I can say that as someone who had a front row seat to the end of the previous coaching regime at Nebraska. That question has lingered for quite some time.
Speaking of the previous coaching regime, he has come out and supported you in Michael Severe's media bracket. It appears you're garnering quite the support on the internet at the moment. Would you like to speak to your legions of supporters in the Michael Severe media bracket?
No, I mean, I have no direct messages to my supporters. Numbers don't lie. I'm not here to scratch my ego. I'm not a local media Lifetime Achievement Award winner who's just been around for a while. I'm just a plucky upstart looking to, pull an upset in March, because this is March after all, and it's my time of year. So here I am.
Wow. Okay. All right. You listen. There's a bunch of people in the YouTube comments who are like, you have to, talk about this. So here it is. That's your message out to the people who are feverishly voting for you in the Michael Severe media poll.
Oh, I mean, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. I mean, I'm not looking at numbers. I'm not looking at results. I mean, I'm a play till the whistle blows guy. Shout out We Are Marshall. I mean, I'm just going to keep playing. I mean, that's what I'm here to do. I see we've gotten some acknowledgement from the other side, ironically, right before this interview started. Funny how that worked. But it's, I'm interested to see how it goes, how the cookie crumbles, and hopefully, some folks can lock in on position previews for spring ball or Royal spring training.
All right. Jacob, appreciate the time as always. Talk to you later.
Well, thanks, Hap. Appreciate the time. Have a good show. Good rest of the week.
All right. That is Jacob Bigelow. Wow. It's guess it's getting hot over there.
Running neck and neck with Mitch Sherman.
Yeah. As you guys may understand, I cannot support the candidates, either one of them.
Yeah, you don't want to lean. You're Connor Happer. You don't want to lean one way or the other.
No,
on this,
I would not dare
on any of these ballots. But we will tell you that the ballots do exist, and that they are available for you.
Well, just when they really when it keeps crossing over my timeline of like, hey, this is happening. I mean, it's getting hot over there. I guess I am staying way out of this one. Out of this one.
Also going to be high voter turnout in the Mitch Sherman versus Jacob Bigelow.
Yes,
it's got about twice as many votes as the other days matchups.
You will see me staying far away.
Good,
far away.
I like that. A little decorum.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Brett McMurphy tweet yesterday.
Hello, Brett, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Brett. I wasn't wishing anybody a happy birthday.
Oh, real news.
He did not throw his support behind any candidates in the Michael Severe media bracket.
Ooh.
Once again, good to stay
neutral.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Instead, he said this. Penn State names Beaver Stadium Field West Shore home field at Beaver Stadium. People will definitely call it that.
Definitely.
But it's not about that, Josh. What do they always say about college football these days?
It's about the money.
It's about the
Follow the money, Happer.
Penn State is going to get $50 million over 15 years. It's just for nobody to refer to their stadium's field as West Shore home field at Beaver Stadium.
$3.33333 million a year.
That's free money as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's probably some signage that you're obligated to.
Of course.
But ultimately what changes? Nothing.
So in this day and age where we're looking for alternative revenue streams and Nebraska is going to be in the process of building whatever new to their stadium, and they're canceling spring games, and they're canceling series with Tennessee because they don't have enough money.
We don't have the money to play Tennessee.
My Siri just woke up because I said series like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if yours like, oh, we said money. I got to wake up. He's rich.
What's that? Now the board of trustees says they're going to name it to West Shore home field at Beaver Stadium. Founder of West Shore Home, B.J. Wurzen, is a 1999 graduate of Penn State. The stadium itself is named, I've always wondered this, why do they call it Beaver?
Yeah.
The stadium itself is named for James Beaver.
Old Jimmy Beaver.
A former Pennsylvania governor and a former president of Penn State University.
Governor Beaver.
James Beaver. Mr. Beaver. The ads on this story from WTAE.com are absolutely absurd. They are popping up everywhere.
Careful.
And they're taking up my entire screen. Have you tried Culver's lately? That's what that ad is wondering.
I have tried Culver's lately.
Yeah?
They do fine work.
What's new at Culver's?
I have no idea. I go so
you always get new Culver's.
I go so infrequently that like everything's new when I go there.
Anyway, back to the topic. The agreement, which runs through the 2039 season, effectively ends a debate about whether the late Joe Paterno should be honored with the field's name as the most recognizable coach who also led Penn State, of course, during the Jerry Sandusky sex abuse scandal.
Oh, that's why they brought that up. Okay.
The trustees voted 22-8 in favor of getting free money instead of naming the field after controversial figure.
What was the
22-8?
Okay.
22 out of 30 said free money greater than naming it after controversial figure. So, obviously, this brings a pretty easy topic to the table. Nebraska's field is currently named Tom Osborne Field.
That's right.
At Memorial Stadium. Nebraska does not receive $3 million of free money a year from Tom Osborne that I know of.
He's not cutting them a check for that every year?
I don't think so. I think that was out of the goodwill of the people of the University of Nebraska to say, we need to put this guy's name on the field.
What a freeloader.
You have already done this. So in order to rename the field, you would have to remove Tom Osborne's name.
So that was my question about this.
It's a little bit trickier. It's a little bit trickier.
Which would you like to remove? the war veterans from the stadium outside
Memorial,
or Tom Osborne from the field on the inside.
Take your pick. Or decline the opportunity to make free money. It's very tricky.
Could they do what a lot of teams do, where it's like Matt Rule is the Dr. Walter Scott head coach at Nebraska, like Notre Dame?
You can endow a position.
Notre Dame does that. Like, could South Stadium become the Baxter Auto South Stadium at Memorial Stadium?
I tell you what, man, like now that I think about it, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Nebraska is like relatively clear of all that stuff. They have not gone too deep into that well, which makes it so funny that we talk about Nebraska being a place where, you know, we have to cancel. And I know we saw right through this immediately. Like, hey, we got to cancel the Tennessee series because we need to make up all this extra revenue. And the best way we could see how to do that was to have an extra home game that year, which is which is super absurd, understanding that all of these avenues for revenue are not being taken advantage of by Nebraska at the moment. They don't have any endowments for their head coaches or athletic directors, and they don't have any of their facilities named for corporate sponsors at the moment that I can think of. I mean, there's the other facilities that they have are a baseball stadium that is named for the Hawks family, a soccer stadium that is named for Barbara Hibner, a Devaney Center that is named for a Bob Devaney, Memorial Stadium that is Memorial Stadium on Tom Osborne Field that is Tom Osborne. Pinnacle Bank Arena is the only one, but that's not even their full facility. That's they share that. Fascinating. But this has to be something that's coming for Nebraska, right? Has to be something that's coming.
It's too
good.
It's too much
I
money.
have to find a way to make money off this. It's just too good.
It's too much money coming in for such little effort going out, right? Because no one will ever refer to the stadium as anything other than Memorial
It's
Stadium.
like the driving crooner.
Yes.
I have to find a way to make money off of this. It's just too good.
Nobody will ever say that it's the Baxter Auto head coach of Nebraska, Matt Rule. We'll just, head coach Matt Rule.
They will give you a lot and money to call it that, even from a corporate perspective.
Because when
it comes out in the posters and the press releases and the
Husker radio programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You are required to call it that in any professional commercial capacity.
Is Michigan State basketball still sponsored by Rocket Mortgage?
I haven't gotten a press release from them lately. I don't know.
I mean,
that deal may have run out.
Hell, Nebraska volleyball sponsored by. I mean, name your price, man. Like
Nebraska women's athletics is brought to you by Emeritus.
Okay,
I believe they. Yes, Nebraska women's sports at Nebraska is brought to you by Emeritus.
I was on the phone. Is the men's programs brought to you by anything?
I don't think specifically. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I only knew that because I have to read it.
Right. You have to read it. You don't get to say, it's the women's basketball team.
Nobody else knows that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just Emeritus coming in and so Adam writes in,
hi, Adam.
Emeritus Memorial Stadium has a nice ring to it. I don't think you could touch the field as it's already named after Tom Osborne. I mean, we might be about to find out. We might be about to find out.
That does hit.
Why doesn't that sound right?
Yeah. I feel like you and me are in that cop car at the end of Black Sheep where we're both just like limit, ruad.
We might. That doesn't. Those don't agree. Right?
We're about to find out.
We are about to find out. But I want to throw in we might
It is possible that we will soon find out.
It is possible that we will soon find out how desperate Nebraska is, how much they really need the money. You know, because like there's all these. You'd be crazy if you don't think Troy Danon has thought about all these things. Like he absolutely has.
It has to have come up in a meeting before, right?
And there's like you could ask any one of the sponsors, you know, to like. You're telling me that somebody wouldn't like to have the naming rights of Memorial Stadium like tomorrow? Of course, they'd be able to get money off of that immediately if they want to, and it's just like they're just not taking advantage of it. Obviously, there would be a little bit of a pushback because it's Memorial Stadium, and you know, like, but you don't take a big enough PR hit for the money that you're going to make from it.
Right.
Even if it's a small amount of money, it's still money that you're getting that apparently we're being told that Nebraska needs, but apparently not. Like I don't know. There's something missing here.
I mean, I just took a phone call from FNBO, and they're like, "Is this a thing?
Is everything okay with your banking?
Is Nebraska selling the stadium rights? Because we would like to buy it."
Wait, really?
No.
Who called then?
A guy who said they should call it Tom Osborne Field presented by Warhorse Casino. And I did think that would be funny. So
you do have to be a little bit careful with what you call it and how you roll it out and all of those things. And to be clear, this is not happening at Nebraska yet, as we know of.
Yet!
But it feels pretty obvious. And let me just say, I do not give a rip.
No.
Call whatever that bleep you want to call it. And
you're going to be up in arms about it for 12 hours, and then you're going to forget about it. And the first time you see the sign, you're going to go, "Oh, yeah, okay, I guess that's not so bad." Nobody calls it
now,
that.
What I don't want is to change it every 5 years.
Right.
You know, like
you got to lock someone into a 20-year deal or
20, 30, 40, forever, you know, like whatever it might be. And for the Osborne stuff, yeah, his name is on the field. And I don't know how synonymous that has become with Memorial Stadium. I don't know if people call it Tom Osborne Field Memorial Stadium, but obviously his name is on it, like physically. But you've also just built the Tom Osborne Legacy Complex right outside, connected to Memorial Stadium. Like,
do you think that there was a little bit of CYA future planning there? Okay.
No.
Okay. Because he does deserve two things. Like,
I don't think that, but I like.
You wonder?
That would be used as one of the things if they do eventually take his name off the field in favor of a sponsor, a sellable sponsor. Like, we look forward to continue to showcase the Tom Osborne Legacy Complex, you know, things like that in the future. Or hell, they could have named the Tom Osborne Legacy Complex something else too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Tom Osborne Legacy Complex presented by
Renzo, Egg Roll King.
Oh, that would get our egg roll business up and moving,
dude. Egg Roll King is a real restaurant.
Oh. What was our egg roll restaurant called?
I think we just called me the egg roll.
That's right. That's right.
King.
That's right.
Zach writes in.
Hi, Zach.
First National Bank Memorial Stadium. I mean, Pinnacle Bank, Union Bank, whatever. Yeah, none of that stuff really bothers me.
I don't think anyone under the age of 65 will care at all.
Yeah, and on top of that, you probably wouldn't call it right? Like you're still going to Memorial Stadium. I know people who still call the place where Creighton plays the Quest Center, and they'll never quit.
I have said I'm going to Kemper. Sprint, T-Mobile. I don't know what it's T-Mobile now, right? I don't know. It's Kemper.
Well, that's not that. That's not even that building.
It's not that ground, but that's what I say.
It's not even that building.
When I tell people I'm going to a show in Kansas City, I'm going to Kemper.
Well, that's okay. That's actually just false.
I understand.
Okay. All right. There are scenarios in which they have renamed old buildings different things.
That's not one of them.
That's not one of them. That's not one of them. Yeah, that building still stands. It's like
I'm going to the Ralston Arena.
The Ralston Arena, Liberty
so
First
Liberty,
Credit Union
yeah.
Arena. Yeah, right. I'm going to the Chuck Box. I'm going to the TD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? But those are new facilities. Now, what if Rosenblatt Stadium still stands today? Find naming rights to Rosenblatt Stadium, like a redone Rosenblatt Stadium. You know, like do you think people have a problem with that? I think it's very possible that people do. Like, it's not for me. I don't care. It doesn't bother me much. But as synonymous as Rosenblatt Stadium was with the community of South Omaha and the College World Series and how much the character sort of meant to the whole experience of the College World Series, I imagine that would have caused quite the stir. And I think the same probably applies to Memorial Stadium. Once again, it doesn't bother me, but I would imagine that it would cause quite the stir.
Just doing some research on some older stadiums. Wrigley and Fenway, while probably a little more hallowed ground than Memorial Stadium, have not done this.
They have not.
I imagine it's come up.
I imagine it has. There's been stories written about it in the past, how it's almost happened on various different occasions for both of them. But yeah, one email here from Bullet Point Bob.
Hi, BPP.
I have a solution to simultaneously help Nebraska's football finances and lack of on-field success. Start selling beer at the stadium at the price for beer, and the price for beer is the following season is based on the record. For example,
that's interesting.
You go 9-3, and next season beer is $9.30. You go 4-8, and the beers are only $4.80. Maybe that will put the pep in the program step to get better on the field. We can't sell beer at $5.70. We will lose. We cannot sell beer at $3.80 a pop. You have to be better.
These $3.90 beers are killing us.
We will die as an athletic department. That is incentive to never go less than $7.50 again.
Can't believe these beers are 10 and a quarter.
It's like, we have to go at least 8-4, aka 8.40. Otherwise, we're taking a huge bath on beer. Huge bath.
That's interesting.
We'll put a bullet point in that one. Bullet point, Bob. No pun intended.
One of his best ideas.
Yeah, good stuff. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
on 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
Saying goodbye to your dog before vacation isn't easy. Those cute little eyes seem to see right through your beach hat and packed suitcase. But your best friend deserves better than an awkward goodbye. At Hound HQ, we turn your vacation into their vacation. Our spacious kennels, indoor and outdoor play spaces, and all-day playtime.
All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed.
Got some from the crossover yesterday.
Oh, okay. So you're saying I got to scroll a little bit here?
Yeah, that's my verbal cue to you.
I
guess I did retweet them during the show today.
Is the American dream renting a house with a flat top?
I don't think so. It's close, but no, not quite there.
76% say no.
Okay, good job, audience.
What did Nick Grimm say? Sense, SCENTS, or sense, SENSE?
Oh, I guess I could have thrown in cents, like dollars and cents.
Yep.
I didn't.
I thought it was pretty clear in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how it wasn't, but it was argued the other way. 75% say SCENTS. That's the dog's main sense, which doesn't make any sense. To the polls today. Are you glad Mike is finally getting his due? You should have put Barber Mike.
Nah.
Are you glad Barber Mike is finally getting his due? Yes.
I'm happy for Mike.
55% say no. They're not happy about it.
Wow.
Do onions count as a vegetable on a burger? No. Wow, a bunch of fatties voting on this crap. 81% say yes.
Wow, that's a lot of Dylan Raiola's voting on that poll.
That is too fat. That is the fattest poll question
I've ever heard
that you guys have ever responded to. Do you want to be Greg in Myrtle Beach?
A little bit.
For a day, I wouldn't mind walking in the shoes. 57% say no. Not interested. Does Sean Keeler always do this?
Definitely.
Yes. 84% say yes.
Habitual line stepper.
Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching tonight?
We are watching college basketball. Got 4 bids on the line tonight.
Oh, put up the dancing shoes.
Including
Look at it.
You've got an opportunity for a 16-19 Delaware team to make the tournament.
The 12 seed in the Colonial Athletic Conference
is 1 win away from the big dance against UNC Wilmington.
This
6 o'clock tonight.
Is cinema.
CBS Sports Network. Horizon League, Youngstown State against Robert Morris, 6 o'clock on ESPN. Same time on ESPN2, the Northeast Final, St. Francis against Central Connecticut. And the big one tonight, the West Coast Conference, classic matchup between Gonzaga and number 19, St. Mary's.
I thought Gonzaga was going to get got by San Francisco.
Almost happened, yeah. 8 o'clock on ESPN. ACC tournament underway on ACC Network. Connor, you won't be able to find it. Pitt versus Notre Dame, followed by Cal and Virginia Tech. And then at 6 o'clock tonight, Syracuse versus Florida State. One NBA game on TNT at 6:30 tonight. Pacers host the Bucks. One hockey game on Hulu at that same time. The Jake Gunsel revenge game? Gensel. I'm sorry. Lightning.
As an almost guest of the show.
Almost. We had him on the hook. Lightning against the Hurricanes. That's right. People forget.
Watch out for them Hurricanes.
And 2 movies to watch. Paramount Plus has a movie called Better Man. Connor, what do you think of this? An anthropomorphic CG animated chimpanzee represents English singer Robbie Williams in this musical biopic.
Does not pique my interest.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Does not pique my interest.
And finally, Netflix brings you the latest from M. Night Shyamalan, Trap. A man and his teenage daughter realize they're at the center of a dark and sinister event while at a concert.
Wow. What was the last M. Night Shyamalan before that?
Before that, that came out last year. Did Trap, and then
I don't think I've really cared for any of the M. Night Shyamalan movies.
It has been a less than stellar run. During COVID, he had a movie called Old.
He's got Old. He's got Trap.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Oh, Knock at the Cabin with Batista.
All right. Yep. Don't know about those.
I agree with Josh Peterson. Old sucked. The ending was stupid.
Yeah. I agree with you guys, even though I never saw it.
Good take, Connor.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching, and that is the show today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you could find it. Time for the crossover coming up next.